I was just playing Dadantang. He called out for the wedding couple. Unexpectedly, he had transmigrated inside. There can only be one winner. Dan Bomb's survival game. Players are scrambling to grab it. Various top-tier gear on the shelves. Only I have chosen an ordinary copper coin. Unexpectedly, he unlocked a hidden reward. Obtain a Dantantang unlimited coupon shop. Everyone laughed at me, choosing virtual assets in the apocalypse. But they didn't know. Monsters are not threats. Humans with supernatural abilities are. The system's rules sounded coldly. This game has a total of 500 players. Everyone is in the real world. All have already been declared dead. He wanted a chance at rebirth. It must be in this deadly game. 5 to the end. Become the sole survivor. The words just fell. Everyone popped up in front of them. Starting items are selected from shelves. The shelves were filled with Bomb Haul, a top-tier weapon capable of destroying heaven and earth. Raging Fire. Thunder. Thunderous Crash. Heart Boomerang. And players obtain items and also gain corresponding supernatural abilities. Blazing Fire corresponds to fire-type skills. Thunder corresponds to lightning abilities. The most impressive is the Newton fruit basket. It actually corresponds to gravity. The others rushed forward like crazy trying to snatch it. Afraid of being even a second late, the item you desire is snatched away by someone else. Only I was in the most inconspicuous corner. Found a copper coin with an antique look. On it was a line of barely visible small characters. Dantantang unlimited coupon account. I didn't hesitate in the slightest. He immediately pocketed the copper coin. The one who traveled at the same time as me. Yang Chen, a class study committee member. Just finished grabbing it. Pins with mind control. Looking back, I saw it. I took that coin. He burst out laughing on the spot. He mocked me as a money grubber. We've already entered the apocalypse. Why bother picking game vouchers? The surrounding players also turned their heads one after another. Watching me burst out laughing, said I was a fool who only cared about money and not his life. They're all laughing at me for being crazy. They say money is the most useless thing in the apocalypse. But they didn't know at all. The most useless thing in this game, it was never just about coupons. It's the prop they fight tooth and nail for. It can keep me alive. Stepping out of this game, only the ones in Bomb Hall. Unlimited coupons. Yang Chen was still gathered around to pick the boomerang of heart. The campus beauty Su Wanqing offered her attentiveness. Su Wanqing playfully lifted her chin. He showed off to those around him how unbeatable his artifact was. Her prop seemed to win the love of all living beings. He could even win the love of monsters. With such a bug-like artifact, it's a bit hard to kill her. I didn't even lift my eyelids. Couldn't be bothered to waste words with them. They simply don't know. Just how incredible is this coupon coin in my hand? A level 1 enhancement stone in the den. Tang shop. This corresponds to purity in the real world. 99. Top tier gemstones. A level 1 enhancement stone exists in the real world and easily sell for a sky-high price of 1 billion. And I have unlimited coupons to buy unlimited enhancement stones. While they were frantically studying the system panel, how to level up your ability, I've already used a level 1 enhancement stone. The transaction was completed in the real world. 1 billion yuan in cash instantly arrived in his bank card. In just 10 minutes, I became the real richest person in the world. When the system's cold electronic voice sounded again, he gave all players a final ultimatum. Players only have 1 year to prepare. A year later, the death game officially began. Remember, there is only one winner in this game. They are all gearing up. Prepare to spend this year dedicating yourself to, and his ability proficiency was maxed out. Prepare for the apocalypse a year from now, and I want to spend this year. Use DDTank's unlimited coupons to craft an unbreakable Doomsday fortress. Turn the whole world into my hunting ground. The money I earned with enhancement stones is in the world. The map was spent 3 whole days flipping through. Finally, they found an isolated island in the Atlantic Ocean. The island is of moderate size and geologically stable. There's also a natural flat area. It perfectly meets all my requirements for building airports and ports, so I spent 2 billion yuan to buy the island outright. He named it Devil's Island, an island where only the devil can survive. Externally, I declared my intention to create high-end custom projects. 10 extra large cruise ships were signed. They also brought together the world's top architectural teams, signed the highest level of confidentiality agreements with all executives. They couldn't even find the exact location of Devil's Island to prevent Devil's Island from being satellite located. I was already in the Dantang Mall, bought dozens of stealth skill scrolls, and unwrapped the invisibility pearl inside. The entire island's ground fortresses were fully camouflaged. From the satellite, this was an uninhabited wasteland. You can't see any buildings at all, but these are just smoke screens I have released. A real trump card is hidden underground. The ultimate fortress 100 meters deep. I was sweeping through the Dantang Mall. Defense items of all levels. Top tier materials obtained by dismantling the Bogu shield. A 5-meter thick fortress wall was constructed, not to mention ordinary bombs and weapons. Even if it's a top tier 12 weapon from Dantang, even a frontal bombardment wouldn't budge it in the slightest. No biochemical weapon could ever invade. To solve the energy problem, I bought the sun bracelet from the mall, supplying energy to solar power stations. I also built underground bunkers with 12 separate sub-warehouses. Even if 1 or 2 branches have problems, the rest remain. Splitting the portfolio also ensures my normal life. 3 sub-warehouses use aerospace-grade ecosystems. Cabin can be used for growing vegetables, raising fish, and raising chickens. 2 separate warehouses are enough to feed me for 20 years. Food, medicine, purified water. The remaining compartments are bedrooms, kitchens, and dining rooms. Recreation rooms, gyms, and medical rooms are all fully equipped. The engineers on the construction team had doubts about my crazy engineering. No worries, I'll just spend money on tips. Once the money was in place, they immediately shut their mouths. He worked harder than anyone else. I can't spent all my money, I simply can't spend it all. Was still in the rented room facing the air. Practice the abilities granted by the item. Even a full meal had to be carefully considered, and I had already bought it in the Dandan store. A complete set of top-tier weapons from the True series. There is also an infinite paper airplane capable of spatial teleportation. They all think I'm a useless person who only knows how to spend money, but I didn't know I had already used a DDTank prop, turning the whole world into my hunting ground, and they are all prey I raise. The apocalypse a year later will let them know. What does true dimensionality reduction mean? The 1-year promise has arrived, and the death game has officially arrived. When everyone thought it would be Dandan, the goblin army is attacking, but what came was a global torrential downpour. Made thorough preparations throughout the year. I cleared everything in the Dandan Mall. Weapons, items, and orbs hidden in the Bay of Devil's Island. Deep sea detection submarines and seaplanes. The underground fortress has a dedicated passage leading directly to the port. I also hired top coaches to train every day, piloting submarines and seaplanes himself. They even used points to break through special channels. Managed to use True Thunder, E-12 Flay, a modified super nuclear bomb shaft to prevent superpowered players from landing on the island. I built dense artificial reefs around the island's outskirts. Large ships must dare to approach and directly hit the reef and sink. Further inside, I connected the high voltage power grid, a circle of the sea along the coast. All were buried with high explosive naval mines. There is also the Yongdantang radar system. Wide area detection system upgraded. Any object near the island was able to spot it immediately. It will be directly destroyed by hidden self-defense systems. In the end, I invested heavily to build the world's only transportation empire. In the last week before the apocalypse began, and all its subsidiaries were destroyed, all the planes and ships were on board. People thought I, the world's richest man, was crazy. Only players know in their hearts. This one took control of global transportation overnight. The richest man is their rival. In the player chat box, Yang Chen sent me a private message. You're the richest person in the world, right? I glanced at it and immediately closed the chat box. He couldn't even be bothered to go back. A week later, the death game started right on schedule. The Coal System voice sounded again. 500 players' names and numbers. All at once, they swept across the world public chat. I'm number 66. Yang Chen is number 100. Zhu Wanqing is number 101. The moment the system tone fell, all the players who had trained their abilities for a year were eager to try them out, just waiting for the goblins to burst out and wreak havoc. After waiting a long time, not a single goblin arrived. Instead, we were met with a global torrential downpour. This rain poured from north to south without stopping. The intense heavy rain lasted for half a month. This directly triggered a super flood. Cities are flooded. Land is swallowed. Although my Devil's Island also experienced heavy rain, but because the island is covered in small rain clouds, it drifted away after just 2 days. He hadn't even reached the fortress's gate. Liu 2025 too. Everyone complained that the system was like a crazy person. In the apocalypse of the flood, everyone's abilities were completely useless. Some even complained that the system lacked honor. It was agreed that the goblins of the apocalypse had descended, but the system replied coldly, did I ever say that the apocalypse would definitely be a goblin attack? The public screen instantly fell silent. They came into this world without a single cent. During this year, he trained in his abilities. On the other hand, he tried to make a living. Not only was it hard, but there was no thought about stockpiling supplies at all. Only a few players used their powers to engage in illegal activities. He built a villa in the basement and built a shelter. As a result, when the flood came, the basement was the first to be destroyed, and I was sitting in the heated restaurant of the underground fortress, eating steak while watching live broadcasts, watching them all for a bite to eat, fighting to the death in the flood. In the live broadcast screen, the streamer hid behind the curtains of the apartment building. Behind him, his whole body trembled like a sieve of chaff. The phone camera was pointed at the building across the street. His voice was suppressed to the extreme, unable to hide his extreme fear. In the shot, a man radiating lightning all over, standing at the entrance of a residential building unit. 4K of 60 APs HD, standing at the entrance of a residential building's apartment. 4K 60 FEs is like a bolt from the hands of the HD. The heavy security door melted into molten iron. He is player number 87. Grabbing the True Thunder instantly grants the lightning power. It took a whole year of honing. He thought he could walk with confidence in the apocalypse. The flood cut off all supplies. Directly used his lightning powers to rob house by house. Anyone who dared to resist would be instantly smashed to pieces with a single bolt of lightning. But he forgot that even if the apocalypse had arrived, the rules of this world are not his either. A superpowered player can break it. His robbery immediately alerted the local police. A dozen SWAT search and rescue boats drove straight in. A residential community submerged by flooding. Armed with guns, they surrounded the entire building so tightly that not even a drop of water could get through. Player 87 laughed on the spot, raised his hand and unleashed a bolt of lightning. The SWAT officers downstairs fired at him. The next second, a barrage of gunfire erupted. Countless bullets. They fired wildly in his direction. The glass was shattered by lightning. The explosions came and went. The whole building was shaking. Suddenly, a current enveloped the figure all over his body. It flew out from the top floor window like a broken sack, plunging rapidly into the murky flood. Even a splash of water would make it disappear without a trace. Almost at the same time, player number 87, on the world public screen, the name instantly turned grey, the first player to be eliminated. The public screen was deathly silent. When the quantitative emoji is sent in the full-scale ball entry public screen, there is dead silence. The emoji attachment was just shouting about sending out the supernatural power. Moments ago, he was shouting about his supernatural powers as invincible. All the players fell silent. They finally realized the scariest thing in this game has never been the flood, but rather the rules of this world. They are of the same kind as them possessing the ability of items. Meanwhile, hiding on Devil's Island, I put down my utensils. A sneer curled up at the corner of his mouth. This is just the beginning. He had trained their abilities for a year, faced with absolute firepower and rules, not even qualified to be at the dining table, and Yang Chen had already set his sights on me. The world's richest man, with unlimited resources. His private message, it has already been sent back to my chat box. Yang Chen sent me dozens of private messages in a row, crying and shouting that you want to ally with me. I couldn't be bothered to reply to him. After player 37 was eliminated, the floodwaters grew fiercer. Supplies in the city are becoming increasingly scarce. Players are also facing increasingly difficult situations. Water and electricity were cut off. Food shortages. 3 consecutive months of flooding completely shattered all NPCs' hopes. It has also pushed players to the brink. Some people couldn't hold on, taking risks at the start, relying on supernatural powers to smash loot and burn. The result was either being shot dead by the police or get stabbed in the back by other envious players. The grey names on the public chat are becoming more and more common, and it was at this moment that Jiang Chen, he started sending me a frenzy of private messages. Li Tiangji, let's form an alliance. You see, we are classmates. We are aligned. He was sure to hold out until the end. Give me a reply. You can clearly see it. I have strong mental control. You don't have any item powers. When the time comes, I can help you deal with the other players. We are strong. He was sure to survive until the end. He sent dozens of messages, from initially looking down on others to later eager to act. His tone grew increasingly humble. Looking at the message he sent, I just found it ridiculous. A lie. He must have underestimated my intelligence. He still overestimated his own character. The rules of this game were written from the very beginning. Clearly, only those who survive in the end. Only then can one have a chance at rebirth. Now, form an alliance with me. When it was just the two of us left, he only needed a face-to-face spirit. Troll can call me out. He reaped the benefits and became the sole winner. This kind of low-level trap. How could I possibly jump in? I just closed the chat window. He couldn't even be bothered to reply to a single punctuation mark. He thought I was a pushover with no superpowers. But I don't know that I'm in the Dan Mall. He could just pull out any weapon he wanted. He could have lost his spirit and his broken spirit. The control ability blew up to nothing. True blazing fire could completely outshine every fire type ability he had ever seen. True thunder all went down. It can directly turn him into coke. Even if he wanted to run, the true kamikaze speed ratio in my hand. Every teleportation he's seen is fast. He didn't know at all. The Dan Hall prop in my hand. Just how extraordinary is it? The flooding continues. The player's despair is deepening. They struggled in the flood. He couldn't even get a sip of clean water. And I was swimming in the heated pool on the mysterious island. From time to time, they checked the satellite surveillance footage for their set. A bite of bread looks like it's bleeding from the start, but I didn't expect it. After I ignored Zheng Chen, he actually played something sneaky. He was directly on the world public screen. My identity was revealed anonymously. It put me on the spot. It made me the public enemy of all players. 802 requests on 76. UN5 GA15. Please Feng. 139 Changkaiao. It was the day after I closed the chat window. The world had been silent for a long time and suddenly it was flooded by an anonymous message. Here's some news for you. Player 66 was the one who bought it overnight. He became the world's richest man in aviation and shipping. He was certain before the apocalypse arrived. Countless top-tier shelters were built. He had so many supplies that he couldn't spend them all. Just find number 66. All of us can survive. As soon as this message broke, the entire public chat exploded. Players who have been silent for months, like a shark smelling blood. I said, that richest man is definitely a player. How could ordinary people possibly be in the apocalypse? Suddenly, all planes and ships were destroyed. It turned out to be number 66. Number 66 came out to speak. You'll live alone in the shelter, enjoying good food and drink, watching hundreds of us suffer in the flood. You are too vicious. This kind of selfish player should be eliminated. Let's look for him together. Find him, taking away all his resources. Kill him. Find number 66. We can live. One message after another. Like crazy, the entire chat was flooded. Everyone blamed their desperate situation on me. They treated me as their only lifeline. He also treated them as public enemies that had to be eliminated. I sat in front of the surveillance screen, fingers tapping lightly on the tabletop. A cold smile curled at the corner of his mouth. Anonymity. Zine thought it was anonymous. I don't know who posted it. Throughout the game, everyone knows I chose unlimited coupons. They know I'm the richest man, but who else could it be? He was ignored by me and sought to form an alliance but failed. He played this sneaky trick, trying to use all the players' hands to force me to hand over the shelter. He likes to sit back and reap the benefits of fishermen. The plan was truly sound. He's still too inexperienced. He thought he was putting me on the spot. I would panic. I will be afraid. Will obediently hand over the shelter. He was wrong. Not only did I not panic, I actually went along with his plan. To him, give all Kaiji beyond my resources to the players. Prepare a huge surprise that could send them all to hell. I twisted my wrist on the world public screen. He typed out a line. It was sent out directly. Everyone stop arguing. I am number 66. As soon as my message came out, the previously crazy public chat, it instantly fell silent. A few seconds later, news flooded in like a tide again. I looked at these frustrating reports, smiled, continued typing in the public chat. You want refuge. The scale letter attachment will be sent to you within the day you start your job. I can send you the letter attachment to this country's import. The DDTank set up the scale letter attachment with the deadline date and sent the message as soon as it was released. The public chat instantly fell silent again. Everyone is waiting for what I will follow. But I'm only in Sia Kingdom, Great Eagle Country, Desert Country. 6 shelters were built in 4 locations across the Koala Kingdom. Each shelter can hold up to 20 people. You still have more than 400 people. These 6 shelters, it simply couldn't accommodate everyone. I will tell you the password to the refuge's main gate. First come, first serve. Please don't chase after me. Finished. I gave the passwords to the doors of 6 shelters. It was also posted in the public chat. All the players went crazy. They didn't even have time to curse me. He turned and desperately rushed toward the nearest shelter. Players with teleportation, acceleration abilities. He even maxed out his abilities. They all thought I was scared by them. Only when he was scared of them did he obediently hand over the shelter. They all thought they had secured a paradise where they could survive. It is the only safe haven in the apocalypse. But they didn't know at all. I gave them this. It was not a refuge at all. But I was a year ahead of schedule. Just prepare it for them. Collective grave. Overnight, some players had already rushed to the shelter. The first to reach the Huoguo shelter, it was player number 69. He possesses the supernatural ability of extreme speed, granted by the divine wind. It only took a few hours. I rushed to the Highland shelter I had marked. The moment he entered the password to open the shelter door, he went live on the world chat screen. In the camera, the shelter was decorated to match a 5-star hotel. Constant temperature and humidity. Eyed high, with steak lamb legs, red wine and fruit. The table was filled with delicacies and a steady stream of purified water and medicine. Player 69 was gnawing on a tomahawk steak, proudly showing off to the camera. Damn it, having money is truly awesome. This shelter is built so well, just like heaven. At this time, 10 players had already entered this shelter. They watched the food on the live stream and immediately made a decision. The doors of the shelter were locked, and the remaining people didn't come anymore. In the live broadcast screen, 10 players sat around the dining table, eat the sea of sacks without a trace it. On a cloud, he did so in front of all the players still on the way. He personally locked the steel doors of the shelter. He even welded the door seam shut with electric welding. He mocked the camera relentlessly. Don't come, brothers. This shelter is already full. We've got everything covered. Go wherever you want. Don't come here to die with your speed. He also deserves to enter the shelter. Serves you right to drown in the flood. As soon as this sentence came out, those players still desperately rushing through the flood, he instantly flew into a rage. He cursed wildly in front of the public chat. Are you still human? As promised, first come, first served. Why do you have the right to lock the door? Open the door, otherwise I'll use my powers to blow up this lousy shelter. The people inside listened. No more opening the door. We all rushed in together. Kill you all. Outside the shelter, players are coming in a steady stream rather than drowning in floods or starving to death. Of course, they had to grasp this one and only lifeline. Survival instincts made them bang on the door recklessly. They prayed for the people inside to open the door and let them in. But the players inside, the main gate had long been locked. No matter how much they banged on doors and walls, he even unleashed his ability bombardment. It couldn't shake the one reinforced with defensive orbs. An impenetrable gate. Inside people were still partying. The people outside had fallen into utter despair. At this time, suddenly I popped up in the chat and said something. Wasn't it supposed that a single shelter could hold 20 people? Only 10 people went in it. Isn't there still 10 more people in the stadium? I forgot to tell you. I also have a hidden password. Even if they lock the front door, you can also enter through the hidden door. Hidden door position. It was right under the third tree 300 meters from the outer wall of the shelter. There is a mechanism inside. Turn it around. The hidden door will be revealed. As soon as this sentence came out, players outside the door, his eyes instantly turned red. They rushed madly toward the withered tree. Sure enough, he found the rotating mechanism. He twisted it with force. The rustic walls really appear. A pitch black hidden door. Players rushed forward in a rush. They desperately pushed forward for the spot that could survive, afraid that if he was even a step late, his spot would be snatched away by others. At this time, a girl who seemed delicate and frail, seeing that he was running last, suddenly she relied on the ancient bamboo spear prop. Countless sword bamboos instantly sprouted, frantically stabbed toward the crowd ahead. A large number of players instantly fell. She was fighting for a spot. He directly dealt a fatal blow to his comrade from earlier. She didn't expect it. Players who own Minotaur items awakened the power of the wild bull. With a swift fist, he shattered her sword bamboo. Suddenly, he leapt up to him. He directly crushed her neck. To survive, they completely stripped away the last layer of disguise, revealing the most primitive and ugly fangs. One player after another, he collapsed in front of the shelter door. The gray name on the chat shot up rapidly. Only now did they finally understand. The system gave them supernatural powers from the start. None of them are meant to deal with monsters. Instead, let them kill each other. The last survival spot was snatched up. The moment the hidden door automatically locks, all 6 shelters are full. There are 116 players inside. Finally relieved, thinking he had snatched a ticket to survive, the celebration resumed. They drank red wine in the shelter, eating delicious food, mocking the players outside who couldn't get in, dreaming of living until the very end. They simply don't know. Death had quietly descended upon them. I sat in the surveillance room on Devil's Island, looking at the real-time footage of 6 shelters on the screen. A cold smile curled at the corner of his mouth. It's almost time. Jiang Chen was in the private chat. He sent me a message. His tone was full of pride. You see, even if we haven't formed an alliance, and they work together so well, we were born to be allies. I looked at this message. He replied directly. Cool. You still want face? You think I don't know? Anonymously revealing my identity. The one who put me on the ground. Is that you? He was still pretending to be innocent. Don't be so angry about the richest man. This is our collaboration. But he helped you eliminate so many players. You should thank me. It helps you reduce so many competitors. I laughed. She didn't reply to him. Thank you. I really should thank him. If he hadn't focused on all the players, all attracted to my shelter, how could I possibly be this relaxed? Just put the most capable people in the world, most likely to cross the Atlantic, find a player on Devil's Island, all gathered in these 6 shelters, take it all in one go. This game, I started Fabric a year ago. These 6 shelters, from the beginning, it was a cemetery prepared for them. I moved my finger lightly. He pressed the red detonation button in front of him. Next second, buried deep within the foundations of 6 shelters, a full 10 tons of explosives. It was instantly triggered. In the surveillance screen, a blinding white light flashed by, followed by, it was a cataclysmic explosion shockwave. Shelters built on high ground, including the 116 players inside, instantly struck by the shockwave of the explosion, crushed thoroughly. Not a trace remained. Almost at the same time, on the world public screen, the player's name, turning madly grey, Denze, filled the entire screen. The explosion ended. Number of players in the public chat. The price has dropped by nearly half. A total of 116 players. I took them all out in one go. All were eliminated. Private chat box. Yang Chen waited a full 10 minutes. He sent me a message. His tone was filled with unmistakable terror. I underestimated you. I replied to him with a smile. Thank you for your assist. Otherwise, I really find it hard to get so many players all gathered together at once. They don't know until they die. He had stolen the refuge his whole life. Ultimately, it became a grave for burying oneself. And at this time, a cold system tone. Suddenly it rang in my ear. Congratulations to player number 66, Li Tianxi. Become the player with the most enemy annihilations in this round. Get an additional bonus. Looking forward to your impressive performances in the coming years. When you see this reward, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Look, this apocalypse. It's always been survival of the fittest. And they even qualify to be my opponent. None. The rain will stop one day. And the real game, it's just getting started. The floods lasted for a full 4 months. It gradually faded away. The land was flooded for 4 months. It resurfaced. The sun rises again. Shine on the sore earth. The remaining 91 players. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. I thought this disaster was finally over. They struggled in the flood for 4 months. Close call. Finally, they could set foot on land. Everyone thought they had passed the hardest hurdle, but they didn't expect it. This was just the beginning of Amu. A cold system tone. Once again it echoed in the ears of all the players. Congratulations to 101 players. Successfully cleared the first level storm apocalypse. Next, unlock the second level bug swarm apocalypse. As soon as this sentence came out, the public chat exploded instantly. Bug tide is just a bug tide. I've been practicing supernatural abilities for a whole year. Still afraid of a few bugs? Finally, it's our ability to take effect. At number 66, a useless person without supernatural powers. This time, all they could do was wait for bugs to gnaw them to bones. Once we deal with the bug swarm, the first one was to go find him, tear him to pieces. They all thought I'm the richest man without any superpowers. This time, it will definitely die. But they didn't know at all. This insect swarm. This is not an ordinary insect swarm. This is from the classic Duntan Hole dungeon. The most fearsome demon ant dungeon. And I, as early as a year ago, it was already inside the DDTank mall. Bought out all the exclusive items used to deal with magic ants. Even the weakness of the demon ant queen Daenerys could feel everything clearly. They thought the demon ants were here to kill me, but they didn't know these magic ants. It was the second wave of death warrants I prepared for them. The moment the system tone fell, all around the world. At the same time, a terrifying disaster of demon ants erupted. A black army of demon ants. They surged out from the demon ant nest. Wherever you go, barren. Whether it's reinforced concrete and still alive, in an instant it can be chewed down to the bone. Ordinary magic ants. The shell is as hard as iron. Ordinary firearm bullets. Hit it on top. It only sparks a little. They couldn't harm them in the slightest. The antennae on their heads can easily lift boulders. See, strangling an adult is effortless. What's even more terrifying, these magic ants, as long as it devours the flesh and blood of the superpowered player, you can directly obtain the opponent's item powers. Infinite evolution. The player's Amu. Here we go. The first day of the demon ant disaster. There were more than a dozen players. Forever remain remain on the grey list of public screens. A player with earth element abilities. Using his powers, he built a fortress in the ruins, thinking himself as solid as a fortress. As a result, the demon ant army slipped through the gaps in the foundation. In just 10 minutes, the entire fortress was gnawed into empty shells. That player, he didn't even let out a scream. It was gnawed down into a pile of white bones. What's even more terrifying, after devouring his earth-based ability, that group of demon ants, it directly evolved the ability to burrow underground. It can easily penetrate reinforced concrete more than 10 meters thick. No fortress can stop them anymore. A player with ice-type abilities, a wave of his hand could freeze a swarm of demon ants. He didn't expect it. Frozen magic ants. In an instant, the ants swarm behind him, gnawed them all away. The demon ant directly evolved into ice spit, a breath of cold air. He was frozen into an ice sculpture. It shattered instantly. The magic ants grew stronger and stronger. The pace of evolution is accelerating. The more supernatural players they devour, the more abilities you gain. To the end, was even a demon ant captain with intelligence and tactical skills. Traps will be set. They can encircle you. There will be a sneak attack. He plays the players in circles. The players were completely panicked. They had originally thought his ability could easily crush these bugs. The result was unexpected. His own supernatural ability. Instead, it became nourishment for the demon ant's evolution. He couldn't even beat them. I can't run away. They could only be defeated by the demon ant army, chasing after them until they were completely scared, fleeing everywhere. The grey name on the public screen. More and more every day. Number of players. A crazy sharp decline. And I, sitting on the beach of Devil's Island, basking in the sun, sipping chilled cola. From time to time, he checked the satellite surveillance. They looked like wolves being hunted by magic ants. They simply don't know my Devil's Island. From the beginning, they implemented thorough ant prevention measures. I had already bought dozens of tons of specialized insecticides throughout the outskirts of the island, scattered again and again. This insecticide, it has a deadly attraction to magic ants. It is also highly toxic. The magic ant only needs to smell it. They would rush over like crazy. If touched, he would die. There wasn't even a chance to approach the island. Inside the island's underground fortress, it was also filled with all kinds of tools for dealing with magic ants, not to mention ordinary magic ants. Even if the demon ant queen came in person, I was confident it would come and go. They were in the ruins. Battles of wits and courage with the magic ants. I can't even eat a bite of hot rice, living every day in the fear of being devoured. And I, strolling around the island every day. Look at how the vegetables you grow turn out. Check out nuclear submarines and aircraft. Devil's Island is truly a paradise on Earth. I am living incredibly comfortably. I didn't expect it. At this time, that woman Su Wan-King, she actually relied on her boomerang's supernatural power. They entered the deepest part of the demon ant nest. He grabbed the thickest leg. Half a month after the demon ant disaster broke out, number of players, the number of people has sharply decreased to 50. And Su Wan-King, the campus beauty who chose the boomerang prop, not only did he survive, he was actually thriving. I saw it through satellite surveillance. She relied on her own supernatural abilities. She actually made those demon ants who gnawed at anyone they saw not only refuse to attack her, instead he would bring her food and water, protect her like a queen. She had relied on this ability all along. They passed through layers of demon ant armies. They entered the deepest part of the demon ant nest, the ultimate boss of the magic ant dungeon, the demon ant queen. The demon ant queen is the ruler of the entire demon ant army. It devoured more than a dozen ability players. It has evolved intelligence and appearance close to those of humans. She moved into the demon ant queen's nest. She was protected by the entire army of demon ants. There was more food than they could finish. Undrinkable water. You don't have to face floods at all, nor they have to face the pursuit of magic ants. Life is more comfortable than all the players. And the first thing she did was, he just sent me a private message. His tone was full of boasting and picky. You still reject me. Now you regret it. There are no abilities. You simply can't survive the demon ant apocalypse. Only magic ants can survive on the entire planet, and I will live along with them. You will regret for the rest of your life for rejecting me back then. In the midst of the flood and the apocalypse, she relied on this supernatural power to gain love. She easily obtained everything she had touched before. All the way she relied on the care and pampering of others. Shamelessly seized the chance for others to survive. Now she had clung to the demon ant queen's leg again. He thought he could rely on the demon ant queen. In the end, he became the sole winner. She was so naive. I really thought I was holding the demon ant queen. Just sit back and relax. Since she liked being with the demon ant queen so much, then I'll send them to the afterlife together. Is Su Wan-King's pick. I didn't take it to heart at all. There are currently 30 players left in the game. 3 major powers had already formed. 3 legs stand together, check and balance each other, and the background of all of them. I know it all. The first faction. It was the mercenary organization controlled by Jiang Chen. After the floodwaters receded, Jiang Chen relied on his mental control ability. Step by step, they took control of the top leadership of the mercenary base. Eventually, he took control of the entire mercenary organization. He possesses a powerful arsenal, a military base as solid as an impregnable fortress, countless soldiers and weapons. He is the strongest among the 3 major forces. The second faction. It was the demon ant army controlled by the demon ant queen and Su Wan-King. The demon ant queen relied on devouring supernatural players, getting stronger and stronger. The army of magic ants is spread across the globe. Number is endless. Even with mercenary firepower, it is also very difficult to completely eliminate them. It is the greatest threat in the entire world. The third faction. It was the Black Hand faction controlled by Zhao Li. Zhao Li is player number 128. Long before the outbreak of the apocalypse, he entered the most chaotic country in the world. Gained from the gravitational ability gained from Newton's fruit basket. He subdued the largest local mafia gang in the last days by plundering supplies from civilians, step by step. Many superpowered players also attached themselves to him. His gravity ability. It is considered invincible in close combat, able to manipulate gravity at will. One-on-one combat. No player is his match. Remaining players, all of them are attached to these three major powers. Not a single wanderer. They all fought. I hide on a deserted island in the Atlantic, isolated. They knew nothing about the outside situation, but they didn't know at all. I secretly control 1/820 satellites in space. It can monitor every corner of the globe in real time. I also spent a lot of money, purchased a large number of exploding molten demons in the shop to form an army. They precisely found every player scattered across different locations. They have been tracked and observed for a long time. They are all gearing up, prepared to take him down and survive to the end. I don't know. All of them. It's all in my script. Who do I want to die? Who won't live past the next day? I tapped my notebook with my pen. Zhao Li's profile picture. A smile curled at the corner of his mouth. Among the three major powers, Black Hand Society is the weakest in power and the easiest to exploit. That's it. Start with you first. And at this time, a cold system tone. It rang out again. The third level, the apocalypse. It officially arrived. Congratulations to 30 players for successfully clearing the second stage, the Doomsday bug swarm. Next, the third level, Ice Age begins. The moment the system tone fell, the temperature of the entire planet began at a speed visible to the naked eye. Descent is crazy. In less than half a day, global temperatures have plummeted to -60 degrees. An unprecedented super blizzard. It rained continuously for several days and nights. It swept across the entire planet. Even I, who am on Devil's Island in the tropics, all of them have been severely affected. A blizzard as big as a goose feather. It covers the entire Devil's Island. The power grid on the ground. Blizzard directly crushed them. Wind and tidal power plants. He also suffered heavy losses, but I didn't panic at all, because inside my underground fortress, it contained top-tier pearls bought from the Dantan Mall. No matter how much below zero is outside, fortress always maintains a constant temperature of 25 degrees. The four seasons are like spring. The real thunder is also in constant motion, ensuring electricity supply to the entire fortress, never stopping the electricity. I'm in the fortress, eating hot pot, looking at the snowstorm raging outside. Unparalleled pleasure. But the players outside, I wasn't so lucky. Glacial weather is sweeping across the globe. The land is covered by thick layers of ice. The power system was completely paralyzed. No heat source left. Ordinary people are outside for less than 10 minutes. It would freeze directly into an ice sculpture. People froze to death en masse. Even with supernatural protection, they couldn't withstand the extreme cold. Moreover, they had long run out of supplies to get through the winter. I can't even eat a bite of hot rice. They could only shrink into the ruins. The first to break down, it was Zhao Li's Black Hand Society. Back during the floods and insect swarms, they plundered all the civilian supplies. When the icy weather arrives, they simply don't have enough coal or gasoline for heating. There is also not enough food to survive the winter. Internal conflicts erupted instantly. Gang members fight for a piece of coal, a bite to eat, and control their swords to attack, kill each other. A player with abilities attached to him, one after another, they froze to death or died from internal syndrome. The grey name on the public screen, it started to increase again. Zhao Li was overwhelmed and overwhelmed. No matter how strong his gravity ability was, nor can they conjure supplies out of thin air. All she could do was watch herself quietly. Gradually fell apart. I looked at the satellite surveillance. Zhao Li was angrily smashing things in the base. Smiled. I sent him a private message. Zhao Li, how about our cooperation? The private message was sent in less than a minute. Zhao Li replied to my message. His tone was full of vigilance and fierceness. What do you want? Why should I believe you? I looked at his reply. Fingers gently tap on the keyboard. Step by step, I pulled him into the trap I had prepared for him. I'm going to let him become in my hands, taking down the Demon Ant Queen and Su Wangqing, the sharpest knife. I replied to Zhao Li's message. Straight to the point. I can provide you with winter supplies. Coal, gasoline, food, medicine, the whole 9 yards. As long as you can get it, your entire mafia society, they can survive. As soon as this sentence came out, Zhao Li was silent for a long time. What he lacked most right now, it's the winter supplies. My words hit his weak spot. A few minutes passed. He sent another message. What do you want? There's no such thing as a free lunch. I want you. Help me deal with the Demon Ant Queen. I stated my terms directly. At the same time, I explained my plan to him. The team of scientists I have assembled, they developed an insecticide exclusive for magic ants. As long as you spray alcohol on the magic ant, it can instantly melt them into blood. Even the Demon Ant Queen, but it couldn't be stopped. But you also know, I have no abilities. Combat power is 0. Think about it. Among the remaining 30 ability players, you are the most powerful. It's just you. Can you help me with this? I have an antidote. You have supernatural abilities. We cooperate. Eliminated the magic ants. Good for all of us. To make him believe me, especially sent my explosive scale molten demon. Braving the blizzard, he sent him a sample of the magic ant insecticide. relied. There was also a large batch of winter supplies, enough for his black hand to survive this winter. Zhao Li saw with his own eyes the insecticide kill the demon. After Captain Ant instantly melted into blood, he was completely moved. In his eyes, I'm just a useless person without any superpowers. No matter how much supplies you have, or does it have any threat? Join me. He could get supplies and survive, and I can rely on my insecticide. Eliminate the greatest threat, the Demon Ant Queen. When the Demon Ant Queen died, he could instantly kill me with a backhand. When the time comes, all my supplies, it's all his. For him, ally with me, it's simply a steady profit and no loss. I'm just a pushover that comes knocking on my door. He showed almost no hesitation. He replied to me directly. He agreed to cooperate with me. I work with you. Feet the Demon Ant Queen. I looked at the message he sent. A cold smile curled at the corner of his mouth. He thought he was the yellow sparrow and can sit back and reap the profits of the fisherman. But I don't know. He was just a mantis in my hands. And I am the one standing at the very back. A hunter holding a slingshot. The moment he agreed to cooperate, his end. It is already doomed. After finalizing the cooperation with Zhao Li, we quickly drew up an attack plan. Snowy night. It was precisely the time when magic ants were most active. It was also the time when the Demon Ant Queen let her guard down at her lowest. Zhao Li led all the superpowered players under his command. Braving the blizzard, they quietly surrounded the demon ant nest, and I, in the monitoring room on Devil Island, remotely controlling those flying pets, and they carried the magic ant insecticide. It flew above the demon ant nest, always ready to deploy. Facing the microphone, he gave Zhao Li the order. Do it. The words fell. I moved my finger lightly. He pressed the add button. Hundreds of flying pets at the same time opened the package. Massive amounts of magic ant insecticides mixed with snowflakes filling the sky. A flood of wine poured down. Demon ants exposed to insecticide. He instantly let out a painful lament. The body moves at a speed visible to the naked eye. It melted into pools of foul-smelling blood. In just a few seconds, demon ant army on the outskirts of the nest. Most of it was melted away. The entire demon ant nest. In an instant, it turned into a living hell. The demon ant queen looked at her people, instantly melted into blood. In her bloodshot eyes, in an instant, he erupted in extreme celebration and anger. It threw its head to the sky and let out a deafening roar. Leap! He jumped out of the nest directly. He fired arrows in succession. In an instant, he killed more than a dozen flying pets in the air. But there are too many flying pets. Insecticides kept pouring down the alcohol. The demon ant army was still melting away wildly. At this time, Zhao Li led his superpowered players. Rushed over. Do it. Killed the demon ant queen. Zhao Li roared angrily. He directly activated his gravity ability. The terrifying gravity instantly descended. He pinned the demon ant queen to the ground. It makes it impossible to lift its wrist. I can't move. Several players took the opportunity to rush forward. The supernatural power in his hand. He wildly charged at the demon ant queen. But they didn't expect it. The demon ant queen had already left the backup plan. The demon ant captain hiding in the shadows. Like a swift monkey, he instantly lunged forward, strangled them to death with the tentacles above their heads. Captain Magic Ant's surprise attack. In an instant, the players suffered heavy casualties. Zhao Li was completely furious. He once again activated his gravity ability. This time, he pushed gravity to the extreme. Countless boulders. For the demon ant queen and the demon ant captain, he smashed it down hard. A huge boulder fell. Smoke and dust rose everywhere. The entire ground shook violently. The demon ant queen and those demon ant captains, including the entrance to the entire nest, were completely buried by huge rocks. Zhu Wanqing standing on the balcony of her nest. Look at this scene. Clutching his face, he let out a piercing scream. Zhao Li snorted coldly. He moved his fingers. The terrace beneath Zhu Wanqing's feet. It was instantly torn apart and collapsed by gravity. Zhu Wanqing screamed. From a terrace over 10 meters high, he fell down. Just as she was about to fall to the ground, in the moment of being shattered to pieces, the demon ant queen buried under a giant rock. Suddenly, from the ruins and broken walls, he leapt up in one leap. He steadily caught the falling Zhu Wanqing. He held her tightly in his arms, even if he was battered and bruised by a huge rock, even if they were poisoned. Its first reaction, still protecting Zhu Wanqing, but it didn't expect. The moment it caught Zhu Wanqing, one of its hands, suddenly countless black threads burst forth like steel needles. In an instant it bound Zhao Li not far away. Zhao Li's face changed dramatically. Never expected this. The demon ant queen devoured so many supernatural players. It even hides a binding ability. The demon ant queen gently pulled out. A terrifying power surged instantly. Zhao Li's body instantly cut by fine threads. It shattered into pieces, but the demon ant queen did not expect this. Zhao Li had long been determined to die. Within myself, filled with demon and insecticides, the fine threads tore the medicine pouch on his body. Insecticides everywhere, mixed with wind and snow. In an instant, the demon ant queen was encircled. The demon ant queen let out a roar of extreme pain. Its body, at a speed visible to the naked eye, it began to melt. Zhou Wanqing in its arms, watching it slowly melt. I was so frightened that I was disheartened. He pushed it aside, screaming and cursing disgustingly. I don't care about you. Don't touch me. In the crimson eyes of the demon ant queen, he instantly showed extreme hurt and disbelief. It lasted until death. All of these are women who are protected at its most vulnerable moments. It delivered the most fatal blow. The next second, it completely melted into a puddle of foul-smelling blood. He died in the swirling wind and snow. Demon ant nest. In an instant, it turned into a pile of rubble and ruins. Zhu Wangqing was trembling all over with fear, rolling and crawling on the ground. He desperately ran toward the distance. I just want to escape this hell. But she had no idea. I had already passed through the satellite. He had planned her escape route. She ran in a panic. Slip under your feet. He fell straight into an ice cave more than 10 meters deep. There was a click. Broke both legs. Biting cold instantly enveloped her. She desperately called for help. But on this desolate ice plain, no one would come to save her at all. This time, there was no longer the demon ant queen. He could jump down to save her. A few hours later, she was frozen to death in an ice cave. It turned into an ice sculpture. I sat in the monitoring room, holding a pen. On the notebook, put their numbers. Right now, throughout the entire game, I was left with only one opponent. The one who controls the mercenary organization. From the very beginning, you wanted to kill me. Jiang Chen. Throughout the entire game, only a few players under Jiang Chen's command remained. Jiang Chen, this one chose mind control abilities. From the very beginning, he mocked me as a hypocrite who schemed against me. He also became my final rival. He knows it well. This game was left with just the two of us. It's not that he died. It is my death. Li Tianqi, don't hide. The game has been played until now. It's just us. You just have a bit of dirty money. But I have missiles. There are aircraft carriers. There are military aircraft. Even if you hide to the ends of the earth, I will find you too. Pull you out of your turtle shell. The winner of this game, it can only be me. Almost everyone in the world is dead. No one could restrain him anymore. He controls all the firepower of the entire mercenary force, thinking he was already in control. But he didn't know. I'm not afraid of him at all. I watched him call on the public chat. Smiled. She flipped him with the middle finger. I know his mind control abilities all too well. Although this ability is strong, can control humans and low-level monsters, but it has a fatal weakness. Gao must be face to show. As long as I hide in the underground fortress and don't meet him, no matter how strong his mind control ability was, it wouldn't hurt me at all. Not to mention, my underground fortress is Yongdentang, crafted with top-tier defensive items. Not to mention his missiles. Even nuclear bombs could withstand it. He thought I was a cowardly turtle hiding in a fortress, but I didn't know that I had already prepared his final grave, and he was steadily moving forward. He walked into the trap I had set for him. He spent a long time chatting in the chat, saying that I only replied with one middle finger. Completely enraged, he made a crazy decision right away. He was going to use all the missiles in his hands. A full coverage bombardment of my Devil's Island. He wants to take my Devil's Island, along with my fortress, blown together into flying ashes. Jiang Chen kept his word. The very next day, after he declared war, several intercontinental missiles carried a sharp slicing sound, launched from mercenary bases toward my Devil's Island, flying in at top speed. My radar detection system, the missile's trajectory was immediately captured. The alarm instantly echoed throughout the underground fortress, but I wasn't worried at all. He even picked up the coffee on the table. He took a slow sip. Several missiles. It landed precisely on Devil's Island. A deafening explosion. It rang out instantly. Blinding white light flashed by. The entire island was shaking violently. The shockwave from the missile explosion, it swept across the entire island. The power grid reef on the ground. It was instantly blown to pieces. The entire surface of Devil's Island covered in massive dust and smoke. Jiang Chen sat in the command room of the mercenary base, looking at the satellite image. The appearance of Devil's Island being bombed. He laughed proudly. He thinks, after this round of bombing, even if I hide in an underground fortress, he must have been killed by the explosion. He immediately looked at the world public screen, waiting for my name to turn grey. But he waited for a long time. On the public screen, my name, it was still dazzlingly bright. There wasn't even a hint of darkness. The smile on his face froze instantly. No way. When pigs fly, my missiles, even if it's a fortress dozens of meters underground, it can also blow through. How could he still be alive? Jiang Chen was completely out of his mind. He just couldn't figure it out. How did I manage to withstand his missile bombardment? He didn't know at all. My underground fortress, walls are top-tier defensive items from Dandantang, made from a blend of special steel, a wall 5 meters thick. It can withstand direct nuclear bomb strikes. These are his conventional missiles. Even the gate of my fortress was damaged in the slightest. His bombing, for me, it was just a brief sound. I still sit in the fortress, drinking coffee, looking at the surveillance footage. He looked flustered in the command room. I just think it's ridiculous. He thought that would up like that. It's too naive. And Jiang Chen, after 2 rounds of bombing failed, completely lost his mind. He made an even crazier decision. He was going to personally lead the entire carrier fleet charge toward Devil's Island. He wanted to personally land on the island and pull me out of the underground fortress. Kill me with your own hands. Jiang Chen led the entire aircraft carrier fleet, set off more than a dozen warships, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, vast and mighty, heading toward toward Devil's Island deep in the Atlantic, but he didn't know I had already passed through the satellite, watching his every move. I can see it clearly. I know better. He dared to charge in so recklessly. It's because he still has a trump card in his hand. This trump card, he was one of his superpowered players. You can determine the opponent's position through dialogue, and after that I never paid attention to any other players, leaving him no chance at all. He thought I didn't know about his little schemes, but I don't know. From the moment he accepted this ability player, I've already set my sights on this ability, and this seemingly useless positioning ability. It's exactly what I prepared for him. The key to the ultimate trap. The new year is here. The blizzard was still falling. Glacial weather sweeps across the entire planet. People all over the world struggling to survive in the icy snow. I can't even eat a bite of hot rice. Only me. In the restaurant of the underground fortress, a table full of delicious food was laid out. Watching entertainment variety shows before the apocalypse broke out. Isn't it a pleasure to eat? But as they ate, I looked out at the snowy wind and snow filling the sky. He couldn't help but feel a wave of bitterness in his heart. The real me, in the real world, is dead. My mom and dad, knowing that I was dead. How sad it should be. Even if I'm in this apocalyptic game, living comfortably no matter what, no matter how much wealth you have, no matter how strong the fortress, it can't compare to the real world. That home with mom and dad. I have to go back. I must be the sole winner, returning alive to the real world. Return to your parents' side. Thinking of this, I picked up my phone, facing the table full of food, and behind them was the underground fortress. A photo was taken. Me in the photo, Zit at the table. Behind them are the iconic buildings within the fortress. I looked at this photo. A smile curled at the corner of his mouth. He sent it directly to Jiang Chen. He was overjoyed. I thought I had finally slipped up. I thought I had grasped my lifeline, but he didn't know at all. This photo, I deliberately took a photo for him. I want him to locate the location of Devil's Island. He was meant to bring all his troops. Come find me on Devil's Island, because that's the only thing. Only then can he step into what I have prepared for him. Inside the ultimate trap, Jiang Chen secured the exact location on Devil's Island. Be chuffed to bits. He thinks I was too carried away during the new year. He accidentally revealed his location. He immediately gave the order, let the entire carrier fleet move forward at full speed, heading toward Devil's Island. Carrier fleet is effortless. It broke through all my outer defenses. They successfully docked at the shore of Devil's Island. Jiang Chen led several hundred armed soldiers. They set off on Devil's Island in grand procession. Soon I found the gate to my underground fortress. Looking at that heavy steel gate, on Jiang Chen's face, he showed a determined smile. Tiangqi, let's see where you can hide now. Police were caught in the jar. I like it. He waved his hand. Directly ordered. The soldiers bombarded the fortress gates relentlessly. Round after round of high-intensity bombing. Deafening explosions. It echoed throughout Devil's Island. After several hours of bombardment, that heavy fortress gate, finally, it was blown apart, revealing the dark passage inside. Jiang Chen looked at the pitch-black passage. He laughed proudly. I thought I had no way out. Can only be slaughtered. He thinks this game he had already won, but he didn't know at all. He saw all of this. I deliberately let him see it. This big door, this passage. I prepared them all for him. The entrance to hell. Just as he was about to give the order, let the soldiers rush into the passage. When I come out, autumn comes. My video application. Suddenly it was sent to his communicator. Jiang Chen watched my video application, stunned for a moment. He immediately answered proudly. He was facing the camera. Li Tianqi laughed arrogantly. Now beg for mercy. It's too late. I've already arrived at the gate of your fortress. Even if you have wings. It was also hard to fly, he said as he spoke. He signaled to the soldiers behind him. Prepare to rush into the passage. But in the video I am now, there was not a trace of panic on his face. Instead, he smiled with complete composure. I raised my finger. He pointed behind me. That vast and boundless expanse stretches out. A universe filled with stars. Who told you? I'm on Devil's Island, bigger than your eyes. Take a good look. Where am I now? Jiang Chen looked at the video, the vast universe behind me, and the iconic equipment inside the space station. The smile on his face instantly froze. His pupils contracted sharply. His face showed extreme terror and disbelief. No way. How could you be in space? When did you leave Devil's Island? I looked at his panicked expression. A cold smile curled at the corner of his mouth. You wouldn't really think so. The picture I sent you, I must have accidentally leaked the location. After I sent you that photo, I had already left Devil's Island. That's right. I had long used the spatial powers brought by the paper airplane prop. Bringing all my survival supplies, was directly teleported to the International Space Station in space, and the entire Devil's Island, throughout the entire underground fortress, except for what I left in advance. Beyond the tactical nukes modified by Dandan Tang Chu Hongdian, nothing. I have long since stopped being on the island. Hearing this, Jiang Chen said. Finally, he realized what was happening. His face instantly turned deathly pale. Even his voice began to tremble. Not impossible. Nuclear bomb. You planted a nuclear bomb on the island. He went mad. He turned and ran toward the carrier fleet. He shouted madly at the soldiers and retreated. Withdraw quickly. Leave the island immediately. Fast. But it's too late. I watched the video. He looked panicked. Smiling, he pressed the detonation button in his hand. Jiang Chen. Game over. The moment the words fell, nuclear bombs buried deep within the underground fortress. It exploded instantly, a dazzling white light. In an instant it devoured the entire Devil's Island, a cataclysmic nuclear shockwave with the power of thunder and lightning weighing 10,000 jun, sweeping through everything. Jiang Chen and his soldiers, along with the entire carrier fleet and the whole Devil's Island, all melted instantly in the high temperatures of the nuclear explosion. Not a trace remained. He didn't even scream in pain. He completely disappeared from this world. Jiang Chen's name on the channel alert message world public screen instantly turned gray and sent a message. Jiang Chen's name instantly turned gray on the world public screen. Throughout the entire game, I was the player left. A cold system tone. It rang out instantly with piercing victory music. The sound echoed throughout the entire space station. Congratulations to player number 66, DDTank. Become the apocalyptic game of this time. The only winner. The system's teleportation countdown rang in his ears until the very last second. I leapt into that blinding light. Her mind was filled with the smiling faces of her parents, thinking that as soon as I opened the door I could smell my mom's braised pork. Dad would smile and take the bag from my hand. He asked me if I had a great time out on this trip. I even thought about how to follow. They explained that I had been missing for more than a year, but the warmth she expected never arrived. Instead, it's more like a nuclear bomb explosion in a post-apocalyptic game. Stronger sense of spatial tearing. My internal organs felt like they were being blanketed. An invisible hand swept away fiercely. A piercing pain was visible through the gaps in his bones. The system tone in my ear was no longer that tune, the electronic voice of a cold machine. Instead, it is an ancient and sacred art. Yet it carried an endlessly weary female voice. Feels like spanning tens of millions of years. Fell right next to my ear. Congratulations to trial participant Li Tianxi. Passed the prerequisite survival trial. Successfully activated the bullet hall hero credential. Officially entered the summoner ranks. I suddenly opened my eyes. Wherever one can see, his land scorched black by the flames of war. The ground was covered with countless craters. Amidst broken walls and ruined walls, countless broken bows and arrows were stuck in them, and shells were shattered, and a few already cold. A humanoid corpse with pointed ears. The distant sky was stained blood red by the dragon's breath. Heavy dark clouds loomed overhead. Even the wind carried the scent of sulfur and blood. My mind went blank. The whole person froze in place. What's going on? I didn't clear the apocalypse game. Given a chance to be reborn, should I return to the real world? Here is it, Itanina. That voice said this was the world of Bomtang, the origin land guarded by the goddess of creation. The woman's voice rang out again. I looked up sharply. He saw it slowly appear in midair. A semi-transparent female phantom. She wore a pure white robe. Gentle golden light shimmered around him, yet between his brows was an unshakable fatigue and worry. She said she was the guardian goddess of the world of DDTank. She personally distributed it to me. Dan-tan, Tang Unlimited Vusha Vushas. One of her words. In an instant, half of my blood ran cold. I finally realized what was happening from beginning to end. I was kept in the dark. That so-called Doomsday game. It's not some random death and rebirth game at all. That was the prelude she set for me. That unlimited coupon coin that all players mocked. It's not even a starting item for the post-apocalyptic game system. It was the certificate of selection she gave me. I clenched my fists. Knuckles broke and his hair turned white. The anger in his eyes was as if it could shatter the sky. Gritting his teeth, he asked her word by word. Why you want me? I clearly cleared the game. I should return to the real world. Back to my parents. The goddess's shadow sighed softly. His eyes were filled with apology, yet he did not back down in the slightest. She apologized to me. Trial seekers from Earth, but she had to do it 3 months ago. A dark dragon sealed in the abyss of the dragon nest for 10,000 years. Breaking through the seal of the goddess of creation. It devoured the primordial power of the Dan whole world, becoming stronger and stronger. Its dragon breath can burn everything. Sharp claws can tear through space. It won't be long. It will break down the world's barriers, invading my real world. When the time comes, your world, it will be better than the apocalyptic game you experience. The tragic intensity was 10,000 times greater. Your parents will all be at its hands. My heart shrank violently. Parency, these 2 words. It instantly hit my softest spot. It instantly extinguished most of my anger. I stared at her intently, waiting for her next step. She said she had searched for thousands of years. Countless methods have been tried. None of them have found the ability to fully realize it. The one who defeated the dragon Barbarubatos. She also said the dark dragon Barbatos. Poor superpowers, brute of force and control. They all have absolute immunity. The stronger the ability user, the more it was devoured by its dragon scales, come the nourishment for its power enhancement. It can defeat it. He was never just a brute warrior who only knew how to use brute force. Instead, he was brave, resourceful, and mentally strong, and can rely on wisdom and tools. A wise man who defeats the strong with the weak. So she set up that Doomsday trial in countless souls who have died, selecting the true heroes, and I relied on the props from DDTank. No supernatural powers at all. Yet he eliminated 499 superpowered players, navigating desperate situations, advancing cautiously cautiously step by step. In the end he survived. Only I defeated the dragon Barbarobatos, completely severing its threat to both worlds. Only then can I truly qualify to return to the real world. I stand on the scorched earth. The wind whipped up sand and dust against my face. A deafening dragon roar echoed again from the distant sky. Entire earth trembled slightly. I looked down at the coupons and gold coins in my hand. It still glows with a warm golden glow. A familiar sensation came from his fingertips. I don't have a choice. Even if it was just to truly return to their parents' side, I also have to take on this task. I took a deep breath. Raise your head. It begins. He looked up at the goddess's phantom in midair. The confusion and anger in his eyes completely faded. Only cold determination remains. Dragon Nest Dungeon. Where is it? The goddess told me. The lair of the Dark Dragon, at the northernmost edge of the Dantantan world in the Dragon Nest Abyss. There are 4 levels in total. East. Only by clearing all the levels, only then could they see the true form of the Dark Dragon. The first checkpoint is the Goblin Commander guarding the entrance to the Dragon's Lair Bulky. The second checkpoint is the little demon Dio who dwells in the Dragon Nest Gorge. The third checkpoint, it is the Dragon's most loyal guardian, Evil Flame Fledgling. Only by passing these 3 trials, only then can you reach the summit of the Dragon Nest, facing the ultimate boss, the Dragon Barubatos. And to defeat the Dark Dragon, you must forge the top tier Dandantan Divine Sword True Count Sword. Legend has it that this artifact is the goddess of creation, an exclusive sword forged by the Vampire Counter. Only rare materials from the Dark Dragon Nest can be used, plus top tier enhancement stones and synthesis stones. Only then can it be forged. After the goddess finished speaking, transformed into a beam of golden light, it was merged into the coupons and coins in my hand. Only the last sentence remained. That's all I have left for my strength. The road ahead, you have to walk on your own. Remember, only those who are firm in their minds, only then can one master the divine artifact. Defeat the dragon. The golden light dissipated. The coupons and gold coins in my hand, it was even brighter than before. Meantime, in my mind, a complete map of the Dantantan world has also been added. There are also forging blueprints for the True Count sword. I opened the familiar Dan store panel. Really? Unlimited vouchers are still available. All the regular items in the shop, all can be purchased without limit. But just as I expected, forging blueprint for the True Earl sword. There are also exclusive materials from the dungeon. You can't buy it at all in the mall. With a year of layout experience in post-apocalyptic games, I know it very well. No matter when, thorough preparation is the most important thing for survival. Follow the map's guidance. I headed toward the last remaining main city of the Dandantan world. The city of warriors fled. Want to break through the Dragon Nest dungeon? I must first understand the rules of this world, understand the weaknesses of each boss in each level, and this information only in the city of warriors. Only then can it be found. It took about 2 hours. I finally saw the walls of the city of warriors. It was a giant city built from massive black stones. The city walls rose dozens of meters high. The surface was covered with muzzles and arrow holes. The city walls were filled with people holding bows and arrows, soldiers carrying shell launchers on their backs. On everyone's face, all carried the fatigue and vigilance of years of war. But just as I was about to reach the city gate, abnormal changes occurred suddenly. 3 pitch black shadows. Suddenly, he darted out from the ruins of the nearby walls, with a sharp sound of air being sliced through the air. The dagger in his hand glinted with a poisonous cold light. It stabbed straight to my heart. My pupils shrank suddenly. Almost instinctively, he instantly pressed the invisibility potion in his backpack. At the same time, he activated the true divine wind speed boost at his feet. He instantly moved sideways more than 10 meters. He dodged his fatal blow. The dagger grazed my back. It tore my clothes. It left a faint blood stain on my skin. A tingling sensation instantly spread from the wound. Poisonous. I was shocked. He immediately took out a bottle of antidote and drank it down. Only then did the numbness gradually fade. I looked up at the 3 people who ambushed me. They watched me suddenly disappear from where I stood. He was clearly stunned for a moment. What about the kids? They were clearly here just moments ago. Could it be that he had become invisible? The boss said, the heroes chosen by the goddess have arrived. He must be killed before he enters the city. Otherwise, once he gets the artifact, we all have to die. Searchy and he must still be nearby. Even if he becomes invisible, they can't escape our detection. The 3 immediately split up. He began searching for my whereabouts in the area. I hid in stealth, leaning against the broken wall. My heart was racing. Cold sweat broke out all over his back. Didn't expect it. Just arrived in this world. Someone wanted to kill me, and they know my identity very well, knowing I'm a hero chosen by the goddess. Who sent the men? Dark Dragon. Wrong. The dragon is sealed in the dragon's lair abyss. It was simply impossible to reach the gates of the warrior city. Could it be a traitor from the city? I held my breath, watching the 3 assassins getting closer and closer. A cold, murderous intent flashed in his eyes. In the post-apocalyptic game, one I'm least afraid of. It's this kind of sneak attack that lurks in the shadows. I quietly pulled out the real thunder. The angle of the cannon barrel was adjusted. Aimed at the assassin closest to me, pressed the launch button. High explosive shells carried a sharp whistle through the air. In an instant, it slammed into the ground beneath the assassin's feet. Deafening explosion erupted instantly. The assassin didn't even let out a scream. He was directly blasted away by the shockwave of the shell. He crashed crashed heavily to the ground, instantly losing his breath. The remaining 2 assassins, his expression changed dramatically. In an instant, he suddenly looked in the direction the shell was launched. There he is. Kill him. Avenge the 3rd child. The 2 shouted angrily. At the same time, they charged at me. The dagger in his hand threw out 2 pitch-black poisonous blades, stabbing right in the face. I sneered. He immediately removed his invisibility. The true thunder in his hand instantly charged up, a blinding blue lightning, carrying a world-shattering momentum. He slashed out instantly. Speed of lightning. It was countless times faster than their poison blades. They had no time to dodge. Lightning had already struck them. Both of them were instantly engulfed in lightning. He let out a piercing scream. His whole body convulsed as he collapsed to the ground. Just a few seconds, he completely lost his breath. 3 waves of sneak attacks. 3 moves to counter-kill him. Entire process takes less than 1 minute. I walked over to the bodies of the 3 assassins. The Andy lowered himself and rummaged through their pockets. In their arms, I found a black token. It was engraved with a twisting dragon head. There was also a small line, Dragon Nest Death Warriors. Sure enough, it was the Dark Dragon's people. It seems it has known about my existence all along, knowing I was here to kill it. So they sent out Death Warriors in advance. Stay here to guard me. I want to wait until I enter the city. Just kill me in the cradle. It's a pity. It underestimated me. Just as I put away the token when preparing to enter the city, suddenly a clear female voice rang out from the city wall. With caution and fear. Who are you? How do you have the standard weapons of the DDTank? He also killed the Death Warriors sent by the dragon to assassinate him. I looked up sharply, looking toward the city wall. On the arrow tower of the city wall, a girl was standing there. She held a delicate longbow in her hand, staring at me intently. On hair, he carried the fierce aura of a seasoned battlefield. The longbow in his hand. At first glance, it is not an ordinary product. Faint blue glow glowed on the tip of the arrow. It was obviously a potion specially designed to deal with goblins. I looked at her. He slowly raised both hands, indicating that he meant no harm. My name is Tianchi. It was the goddess who summoned him to defeat the dragon Baba Rubatos. As soon as this sentence came out, the girl on the city wall pupils shrank suddenly. She stared at me for a full half-minute. It seemed like they were judging whether I was lying. He then shouted to the soldiers at the city gate, "Open the gate." Let him in. The heavy stone city gate. It slowly opened. The girl led a dozen or so soldiers, walked out of the city. He came up to me. He sized me up and down several times. My gaze finally settled on the coupon coins in my hand. The wariness in his eyes. Finally, some of it faded away. Instead, it was a touch of unbelievable excitement. She truly is the goddess's proof of you. He truly is a hero chosen by the goddess. I nodded. Took the Dragon Nest Death Slayer token he just obtained. He handed it to her. Just as he reached the city gate, they were ambushed by these 3 guys. It must have been the Dark Dragon sent to kill me. The girl took the token. Z the Faucet marker buff. He gritted his teeth in an instant. A flicker of deep-seated hatred flashed in his eyes. The longbow in his hand, scraping until they cracked. Once again, those Dragon Nest Death Warriors. For 3 months, they had already quietly assassinated the city. There are more than a dozen new warriors arriving. She took a deep breath. Look at me. He reached out his hand toward me. There was a hint of tremor in his tone, but he was utterly resolute. Hello, Tianchi. My name is Leah. He is the captain of the warrior city's guard. It's also the world of DDTank. The last sharpshooter. 3 months ago, the giant dragon broke through the seal. My parents, my people, all died in its dragon breath. My only goal in life, just kill it. Avenge my people. I've cleared the dragon lair dungeon 3 times. Twice I nearly died inside. The most in-depth one. He only managed to reach the 2nd level, the Dark Knight Demon Cavern. I am well aware of the weaknesses of every level in the dragon's lair. He also knew the habits of dragons. I looked at her outstretched hand, looking into the determination and hatred in her eyes, and that unconcealed longing for the light. A slight stir stirred in his heart. In the post-apocalyptic game, I've always been the one to lay things out. One person acts, never trusting anyone, because I know, in that game, there is only one winner. Any ally. They might even stab me in the back, but here it's different. Leah and me, they share a common enemy. She was familiar with the world. Familiarize yourself with every detail of the Dragon Nest dungeon. And there are unlimited coupon. There are countless props. He has the strategic skills honed in post-apocalyptic games. We join forces is the best choice. I reached out. He held her hand, nodded. Good. Together. Kill the Dark Dragon. I followed Leah through the city gate opening. The walls were covered in scratch marks and scorch marks. Some parts still have arrowheads that haven't been pulled out. 2 soldiers were taking turns on duty. Their bodies are unsteady. Obviously, it had been a long time since he had a full night's sleep. Leah looked up at them. They were not called to rest because she knows the city no longer had surplus manpower. As I passed by them, one of the soldiers suddenly tightened his spear. He did not bow to me, just speaking in a very small voice. These 3 words, heavier than any welcome. The soldiers behind the city gate looked at me. Some looked skeptical. Some looked at him with anticipation. Some even had spears trembling in their hands. I could hear their down and down discussions. The goddess's credentials. Did it really appear? Leah didn't hesitate any longer. She turned and said to everyone, "From now on, I am her companion." At that moment, the city gate behind me slowly closed. Ahead, no longer a path for a person's life. It was a gamble for the entire city. Leah took me into town. town, but before him stood the city of warriors. It's not the main city at all. It looked more like a ruin, gnawed by fire. The streets were lined with broken walls. The child huddled in the corner. He was still polishing a short bow in his hand. The soldier's arm was wrapped in bandages, yet still mending the city walls. The old man pushed the oar. His steps trembled, but he refused to stop. Leah whispered to me, 3 months ago, there are hundreds of thousands of people here. Now fewer than 10,000 remain. The dragon leads the goblin army. He washed the whole world in blood. The one who survived. All crowded into this ruined city. The city walls are repaired when they are broken, patched and torn again. In every crack, it all seemed to be embedded with human lives. She looked at me. There was a pleading look in his eyes. Litianshi, you are our last hope. I didn't answer right away. I am not a saint. I'm here, all just to return to his parents. But every brick in this city, it all feels like I'm being forced to face reality. People here. There was no other way out. In the clinic at the street corner, the wounded lined up in a long line. Some lost their arms, even bit the cloth strip, and refused to cry out in pain. In front of the blacksmith shop, teenage boys fought over hammers. The hammer was thicker than his arm, but he smashed it hard again and again. A little girl holding a rag doll, hiding behind buckets. She saw the gold coin in my hand. His eyes lit up instantly. He asked, Sister Leah, the hero has arrived. Will Dad be able to come back? Leah didn't answer. Just hold her in your arms. I have seen people cry in the apocalypse, but the crying here was even softer. It hurt more. It felt as if someone had pressed him into the ashes. He didn't dare to make a sound. I suddenly understood. The dragon burned more than just the city walls. What it burns is the reason these people keep living. But when I saw a child holding a broken arrow, looking up, the soldiers asked if they would win tomorrow. My chest suddenly felt heavy. The dragon's target, not just here, it also targeted my real world. It wants to ruin my way home. I'll destroy it first. Leah took me to the warrior's tavern. There's no wine aroma there, only the taste of medicine rust and the bloody taste of wounds. We sat at the table by the window. Leah unfolded a yellowed map. On the map, all marked in red, every line, all the paths bravely explored by warriors risking their lives. The dragon's nest lies deep in the abyss with 4 gates. The first level, it was the goblin commander Boki. Boki was driving a meteorite war chariot. The carriage body is impervious to blades and spears. The frontal main cannon can destroy city walls. Both sides were over 100 cannons. Artillery fire spread out. Not even a single bird could fly over. Leah pointed to the rear of the car. There is a red radiator there. Hidden inside is the core of power. That was its only weakness. But the tanks kept moving. The gunners were still surrounded by them. A normal person would want to hit there. It's as difficult as ascending to the sky. But I happen to be the one who excels the most at count the impossible as a trajectory. In the post-apocalyptic game, I spent a whole year practicing wind speed angle and landing point. As long as the target is exposed by just an inch, I can fit the shells inside. Level 2 was the Demon Lord Dio. It hides in a dark night demonic lair. He held a soul-devouring scythe in his hand. The scariest thing is not the attack, but rather it can lock people in a stone coffin, seal skills, backpacks, and items. The more I listened, the colder I felt because of this skill. Specifically to restrain those who rely on items, I have more unlimited coupons. Once the backpack can't be opened, it was as if nothing had happened. Clearly Theo didn't win by brute force. It must first strip away your choices, then strip away your breath. These kinds of enemies are the most sinister. It is not in a hurry to win. It likes to watch people feel a little despair. It can also randomly teleport targets into the stone prison. Teammates can't see it. No sound came through. The sarcophagus wouldn't break for even a minute. The spikes inside will close up. People can only listen to their own heartbeats. Swallowed by darkness. Leah said this. Fingers suddenly tightened their wipes. She had seen her teammates trapped and killed with her own eyes last time. I looked at the stone prison marker on the map. Instead he felt more at ease. Because I have infinite paper airplanes. The stone prison is deep again. It couldn't block spatial teleportation. Its signature move. In others' eyes, it was a dead end. For me, it's just a change of placement. The third level, it was the evil flame dragon nest. Ere the leader of the evil flame baby dragon coiled, there are also hundreds of fledglings that can self-destruct. The dragon pounced and exploded. The poisonous mist stuck to the skin. The armor will be corroded. Even trickier, as long as the leader doesn't die. A hatchling will keep hatching. Kill 100 of them. Then I took another 100 of them. Leah said, the strongest warrior squad was exhausted in this way. In the end, the leader unleashed a purple flame. Burn to ashes. I stared at the dragon's nest on the map. Flames can burn everything, but ice can freeze their feet. I have true flames. There is also extreme ice and snow, and the real thunder, combined with infinite potions. I'm not afraid of it wearing it out. Level 4. That is the end point. The dragon dominates Rubatos. It perches atop the dragon's nest. It has 10,000-year-old dragon scales. It can tear up space. It can also summon a horde of goblins. Normal weapons hit the target. Even Mars isn't worth keeping. The only one who can kill it. It is a divine artifact forged by the goddess of creation. The true Count's sword. Leah took out the blueprints, the one the goddess gave me. Same, forging this sword. 3 core materials are needed. It is the power core of the DDTank. It is the main blade of the Dio soul-devouring scythe. It can suppress the dragon's magic. Third, it is the crystallization of the dragon flame heart of the evil flame baby dragon leader. It can ignite a sword with a scaling breaking fire. 3 types of materials. None of them are available. You must personally take down the boss from stage 3. Put away the blueprints. The route was already planned in mind. First disassemble the war chariot. A new demon. Finally take the dragon's heart. I looked up at Leah. Her fingertips were still trembling, but she didn't look away. She flattened the edges of the map. Several blood-smeared marks were revealed. Every cross is next to it. Each has a name written on it, she said. Those are the warriors who never came back. Some died in the shelling. Some people didn't even leave behind any belongings. I looked at those names. My back tightened bit by bit. For me, this is the strategy route. For her, this is the cemetery. At every level, all the people she knew were buried there. She flipped through another old record. It was written on the movement patterns of the DDTank, and a half-second shadow before the Dio sarcophagus appeared. I read through page by page. It was found that these records were incomplete. Some characters break halfway through. Moji dragged a bloodline beside him. Leah said, many people were on their way back to the city. Holding on to my last breath, I wrote down these things. They knew they wouldn't survive. Just leave the weaknesses, you see. Even if it was just a single sentence, it might even save the next person. Suddenly I didn't dare to treat this map as a prop. It is more like a very long suicide note. Leah tapped the black dot next to the first level with her fingertip. That was the longest range of the Pochi main cannon. She said, the main guns fired no ordinary shells. Instead, it uses cryo to slow the opponent. After the person is struck, the body will stiffen. It was shattered by the machine gun. Next to the second checkpoint, he painted countless small coffins. Every coffin, each corresponds to a missing warrior. Third level has the fewest markings. Not because it's simple, but the person who can see the third level. Almost no one returned alive. At the top of the map is the dragon's lair peak. Only a patch of black was drawn. Leah said, there is no record there, because no one truly stood before the dragon. I stared at that black patch. Slowly press down with your finger, then let me fill in the last stroke. This information, all of these were bought with the lives of survivors. One less. We might die one more time. I put the record in my backpack, since they risked their lives to find the way here. The remaining road. I'll finish the journey. I say, departure. Early tomorrow morning. The first level. First use the steel chariot to attack. The sky is just bright. Tia and I packed up and left the city. She carried a longbow on her back. My backpack is full of props that can topple an entire city. Resistance potions. Healing potions. Invisibility potion. As long as the shop has it, I bought them all. Tia watched me pull out each piece one by one. His eyes straightened. She seemed to see a treasure trove that could walk. She asked me, where did these things come from? I shook the coupon coins. The light in her eyes. It was as if someone had reignited it. She blurted out, then we're not invincible. I shook my head. Invincibility has never been just a tool. It was knowing what kind of props are used. I've seen too many idioms in post-apocalyptic games. They possess top-level capabilities. But he turned himself into a target. Some people have teleportation, but he crashed headfirst into the trap. Some have shields, but forgot that the ground beneath them would collapse. So before I set out, he categorized every prop. The survival one is placed on the left side. Place the burst on the right side. Teleportation items placed close to the body. I also made 3 backup plans for Leah. The first set is frontal propulsion. The second set is retreat and pulling. The third set was when I was trapped. She survived alone. He heard the third set. The face changed. She said, that won't happen. I looked at her. He said very seriously, on the battlefield you can't rely on it. If you want to rely on it, then it happens. You can still survive. She was silent for a moment. Put the spare scroll into your waist pouch. At that moment, he truly entered my rhythm. Before we left the city, Tony's apprentice brought 2 war horses. The horse's mane was snow white. Its 4 hooves are bound with light armor. Leah stroked the horse's back, whispered, it had been a long time since the city gave the best things to the living, because everyone is afraid. Once you give it away, you won't come back. I fed a bottle of speed enhancement potion to the warhorse. The white horse exhaled steam. His eyes suddenly lit up. I told Leah, it was sent out today. We'll always return victorious. She swung herself onto her horse. The longbow was pressed against his back. The morning light shone on her shoulder armor, like a small patch of sky not covered by dark clouds. The treatment is divided into 3 batches. They're all on their own. Leah and his group. A reserve batch. No need to say more about the invisibility potion. Hang it directly at your waist, because when they were ambushed, you can't even rummage through your backpack for a second. Leah saw that I was organizing like a war. He gradually put away his excitement. She knew unlimited vouchers are not an excuse for arrogance. It just made me qualify. Every step is calculated to the utmost. He rode white warhorses, rushing wildly toward the northern abyss of the dragon's nest. Crossing northward, the more the air feels scorched. The grass turns to black soil. The river water smelled foul. The sky was heavy with dark clouds. The wind is filled with sulfur and blood. Shout from afar. It was like someone scraping the eardrum with an iron hook. At dusk, we arrived at the canyon entrance. The crack was long and deep, like a wound torn open by a dragon's claw. Black holes hang from the rock walls on both sides. Goblin breathing came from inside the cave. The entrance was filled with broken swords and spears. Bones half buried in ashes. It was like a reminder for those who came after, not to keep moving forward. Leah gripped her longbow tightly, she said, breaking into the dragon's nest 3 times. She always enters from here. I opened the radar or the screen instantly filled with red dots. I grabbed Leah. Don't move. There is an ambush. The words just fell. The sides of the rock wall exploded with roars. Over 100 goblin slaves pounced out of the cave. They looked like lizards with fangs. Black venom dripped from its mouth. His eyes were as red as burnt coal. Leah immediately drew her bow. She said, "These venoms corrode armor. Too many of them. We're surrounded." I shielded her behind me, flipped his wrist. Two true flames appeared simultaneously. The first wave of goblins had just pounced on me. Two fire dragons were blasted out. Flames swirled across the ground. A dozen or so monsters were instantly burnt to charcoal. Leah gasped behind her. She had never seen such firepower before. I called her. "The left side is yours. The right side belongs to me." She immediately raised her bow. 3 enchanted arrows simultaneously released from the bow. The 3 goblins' eyes burst open. His head was blown apart by the arrow's beam. The final sharpshooter really is not an empty reputation. We fired back to back. I am responsible for fire suppression. She was responsible for catching any who slipped through the cracks. Venom sprayed out. I'll activate the shield. The black liquid struck the light shield. Only wisps of white smoke remained. The monster approached. I really changed to thunderous heaven. Barrel of the cannon flashed. The entire ground trembled along with it. Half an hour later, the canyon entrance was quiet. Over 100 goblin slaves all fell into charred rubble. Leah looked at the debris scattered across the ground. Voice trembled. She said, "I've encountered so many monsters before." He could only run. I put away my weapon. Running away isn't my habit. A real main course. Still deep in the canyon. Porky's chariot. They've already heard us coming. I went down to check the goblin corpse. Their necks are all branded. It was exactly the same as the dragon head on the Death Warrior token. This indicates Barubatos' army. It's not just about quantity. It had turned the entire dragon's nest into layers of sieves. Goblin slaves at the entrance. Not to kill us. They are meant to slow us down. Consume our potions. If an ordinary warrior gets injured here and facing the chariot from behind, he didn't even have enough stamina to dodge the cannons. I told Leah about this. Her face darkened. Immediately check your quiver and potions. She counted arrows very quickly. Ordinary arrows, armor, piercing arrows, holy light arrow, explosive arrow. Each type is tied separately. I noticed she finally placed an old arrow in the most convenient spot. The arrow end was tied with a faded red string. Leah whispered, "That was an arrow left by her father. She had always been reluctant to use it." I didn't try to persuade her, because I know some weapons are not meant to harm the enemy. It's to encourage people to dare to keep moving forward. She said, "In the past they were always exhausted by the entrance monster. He stood in front of Boki. They simply don't have complete combat power." I looked toward the black smoke deep within the canyon. It turned out the first challenge had already started right from the entrance. I took out the anti-venom spray from my backpack, sprayed along the armor gap. Goblin venom didn't penetrate the shield, but the smell attracts more monsters. Leah quickly handled the arrow as well. She wiped the blood-stained arrow clean. He put the still usable arrows back into his quiver. This saving, it made me feel a bit bitter. For me, if the arrow is lost, it can be bought. For her, each one was forged by city blacksmiths staying up late to forge IT. I handed her a full set of top-tier enchantment arrows. She was stunned for a long time. Only then did he carefully accept it. She said, "Wait until this battle is over." She wanted to teach these arrows to the children in the city. Tell them, warriors' arrows can shine just as brightly. Let's keep going inside. The ground began to shake. In the distance, the sound of steel crushing rocks echoed. 10 minutes later, a vast expanse appeared before their eyes. Like a mobile fortress stretching across the canyon. Porky wears a pirate hat, standing atop the chariot. It wielded the command blade, screaming for the gunners to aim at us. The war chariot was over 10 meters tall, several dozen meters long. The car was covered in pitch black barrels. Main gun on the front still showed charred marks. Leah lowered her voice. "See the red cooling vent at the rear? The power core is right there." I took a look. The rear of the car was blocked by layers of guards. The chariot kept moving. Ordinary people really can't hit it. But in my eyes, its route has become a string of numbers. Wind direction, distance, velocity, angle, 50 degrees, 45 minutes. That's enough. The goblin guards discovered us. The next second, artillery fire rained down like a torrential rain. I grabbed Leah. The shield instantly rose. Once the speed boost activated, we rolled behind the boulders. The shell struck the spot. A huge crater was blasted out. Debris brushed past Leah's cheek, leaving behind a thin, bloody gas. She turned pale. She said, "Last time was this kind of firepower. In just one round, half the team was wiped out." I stared at the chariot. The corners of his mouth pressed down. "The firepower is fierce. It's just an iron coffin that can cry. I'll stake the max level power orb." He struck the critical hit rune again. True thunderous cannon glowed with an orange-red glow. The chariots were still advancing. The tracks crushed the ground. It was as if he wanted to flatten the entire canyon. The muzzle rotates by 1 inch. The air felt a bit tighter. I didn't fire immediately, because the cooling vent only occurs when the tank is turning. Reveal the most stable angle. Porky is very cunning. It always keeps the rear of the car pressed against the rock wall. Ordinary ballistics simply can't be bypassed. But the canyon wind blew from the left rear side. As long as the shell deviates slightly, can use the wind to drill into the cooling vent. This shot wasn't just luck. It's about its arrogance, terrain, and wind. Count them all together. I told Leah, wait for me to count to 3 times. You go soak up the fire, put all the cannon ports, send them all over to you. She didn't hesitate. She said, leave it to me. I'm a sharpshooter. She rushed out from behind the boulder sea, longbow drawn to full draw, a dozen enchantment arrows fired in volley. Several machine guns on the front of the tank were blown apart on the spot. He was so angry he stomped his feet. All the barrels instantly turned around. The shells chased Leah and exploded. She rolled in the smoke of battle. The arrow light sliced through the black mist again and again. When Leah rushed out to draw fire, my heart was pounding along with it. Her figure darted through the shellfire. Several times it was nearly knocked over by the shockwave. An ice pellet burst right next to her feet. The ground instantly turned to frost. Her speed was noticeably slower. I know, can't wait any longer. The tank turned to the next second. The cooling vent will retract behind the rock wall. I held my breath, fingers pressed against the trigger. The whole world seemed to be pulled into a single thread. The end of the thread is the red dot. Cannon barrel was raised. The rear of the tank is already locked by me. It's now. I loaded the highest grade armor-piercing rounds. The true thunder aimed at the red dot at the rear of the car. The sound of cannon fire exploded. Armor-piercing shells penetrated gaps in artillery fire like a red-hot nail. Directly drill into the cooling vent. With a bang, a red light burst from inside the tank. Pokey's scream. Even through meteorite iron he could hear it clearly. The engine stopped. Black smoke was sprayed from the cooling vent. The entire body of the car began to twitch. The guards turned and spotted me, roaring as he lunged. I opened my bow on both sides. 2 streams of true blazing fire directly blocked the road. A sea of fire swallowed the goblins. They can't even take the second step. The next second, the tank's interior exploded continuously. The meteorite iron shell was blown to pieces. Pocky and its steel fortress turned them all into scrap metal. The first level. Broken. Leah rushed over. Her eyes were bright red. She said, we really smashed the steel tank. Once the wreckage completely shuts down, I just stepped into the black smoke. Every step was on a hot iron plat. White smoke rose from the soles of his boots. I walked into the wreckage. Enduring the heat, he pulled out a fist-sized red crystal, the core of the tank's powertrain. Hand, take the first material. But the canyon is even deeper. The laughter of demons had already been heard from the devil. That laughter was like damp cold hands falling down along the back of the neck. Second stage, Xiao, waiting for me. After we simply bandaged it. Keep going. The more you go, the dimmer the light. Ground beneath his feet became slippery. The rock walls seemed to suck out all sounds. The temperature drops little by little. Even breathing turned into white mist. Leah lowered her voice to the lowest level. She said, Theor can hide in any shadow. The sarcophagus will protrude from beneath your feet. It would also fall from above. In a single day, the upper court was closed. Inside, people couldn't even open their backpacks. I opened the radar orb, but the screen was completely blank. Leah shook her head. Useless. It can shield detection. He only shows up when he makes a move. I put away the radar. Fire flares into the darkness. The moment the white light exploded, the entire canyon looked as if its skin had been peeled off. The rock walls are covered with bat demons. Mid-air, a figure in a red robe hovered there. It only shows one eye. The soul-devouring scythe in his hand. Dripped black mist. Black mist hit the stone wall. Rotting directly leaves small holes. Dio spoke. The sound was like sandpaper grinding bones. It said, the previous squad. The bones have been ground into powder by it. I'm not talking nonsense. True. Thunder raised his hand and slashed. Blue lightning shot through the sky, yet it only shatters a fleeting shadow. The real Dior. It has already vanished into the darkness. It's too slow. Its laughter came from all directions. The next second, my feet split open. Both stone coffins were pulled out at the same time. A mask pointed at me. A masked figure pointed at Leah. I immediately tossed out the paper airplane. A flash of white light. I passed 3 meters away. Leah was a moment too slow. The stone coffin swallowed her whole. Sounds of impact came from inside, followed by, it was the sound of metal scraping as the spikes contracted. Leah called out through the stone coffin. Leave me alone. Kill it first. Her voice was trembling, yet they still want me to live. I stared at the stone coffin. A fire suddenly ignited in his eyes. 1 minute. I only had 1 minute. Dio saw me dodging the stone coffin, swinging the sickle. A black crack appeared behind me. The stone coffin suddenly locked me inside. All around were cold stone walls. The sound of sharp spikes shrinking came from nearby. Dio's voice echoed through the wall. It said, that little girl still had 40 seconds left, and you will die here. I sneered. And trap me. You're not qualified yet. Paper airplanes fly out. Space ripples unfolded. I instantly returned to the canyon clearing. Dio's smile froze. It showed panic for the first time. It doesn't believe it. Threw me into the second stone coffin again. I kept sending messages back. The third one. The fourth one. The fifth building. How many times does it transmit? I will come back as many times as I want. After more than 10 rounds, Dio's breathing grew heavier. The black mist on the sickle also thins, and the voice inside Leah's stone coffin has become urgent. She couldn't last long. I deliberately exposed the floor. Let Dio drag me into the sarcophagus again. That moment, I even heard the sound of Leah pounding inside the sarcophagus grow weaker. Her time was being eaten away bit by bit by the spikes. But I can't rush. The more anxious, the more you end up being led by Dial. I have to make it believe. I've been forced to the point that I only know how to teleport repeatedly. That's it. Only then will it reveal its true position. Dio really took the bait. Its true form poked out half a step from the shadows. The tip of the sickle was aimed at the stone coffin, ready to appreciate the last second. That's half a step. It took its life. It thought I would return to where I was as before. But this time, I'll crush the invisibility potion first. A flash of white light passed by. I didn't show up on its head. I appeared behind it. True thunder had long been fully charged. I aimed at its back. Lightning shot out directly. Dio was instantly swallowed by lightning. Its red robe was blasted through. Black blood sprayed everywhere. It screamed as it fell. The soul-devouring scythe smashed onto the ground from his hand. Second boss, Demon Lord Dio, fell. The stone coffin trapping Leah shattered instantly. She ran out after him. Her first words weren't about crying out in pain. Instead, he rushed over to ask if I was okay. I looked at her, let out a long breath. Fortunately, I caught up just 3 seconds away. Remaining bat. Demons tried to escape. Leah and I attacked at the same time. Thunder swept across the cliff wall. One holy light arrow kills with a fulcrum. Half an hour later, the demon fell completely silent. Leah cut the main blade of the soul-devouring scythe from beside Dio's corpse. Carefully hand it to me. The second core material. Found. Right now, only the heart of Dragonflame crystal remains. Just get it. The true Count's sword can be forged. At the end of the canyon, there stood a stone gate dozens of meters high. Scorching hot air spurted from the door, cracking. Behind the door. This is the third stage. None of the warriors survived the evil flame dragon nest. We didn't rush in. Night fell. Leah and I found a hidden cave to rest. The campfire flickered against her pale face. She wiped her longbow, but his gaze fell on the stone gate. She said, the evil flame chick dragon is terrifying. The 3 strongest warriors from before hadn't even seen a leader's face. It was worn down by the young dragon. I looked at the blueprint. His tone was steady. There's no boss you can't kill. Only the weak points he hadn't identified correctly. Leah was still worried. When the dragon pounces, it will self-destruct. The poisonous mist corrodes the skin. I smiled faintly. He didn't say much. He had already settled on the perfect tactic in his mind. Simultaneously unlock 3 max level defense scrolls. 3 layers of energy shield stacked together. Tank the main dragon's flame impact and the first wave of the flu's attack. Harness the true blazing fire to drive the torrent of crimson flames. It directly clashed with the young dragon leader's burning heaven dragon flame. Using extreme ice and snow seal, the fledgling dragon army swarmed in. Finally used true thunder to precisely lock onto the hatchling dragon's leader's vital point C. 3 artifacts charge up simultaneously and burst simultaneously. Wipe out all the young dragons in one go and beheaded the leader. At this moment, very faint footsteps came from outside the cave. The firelight flickered. On the radar ore, a dozen red dots were approaching. The death warriors from the dragon nest are chasing after them. Leah and I exchanged a glance. At the same time, drink the invisibility potion. The body blends into the air. Breathing was also kept to the lightest. A few seconds later, a dozen or so black-clad death warriors sneaked into the cave beneath the evil spirit mask. Only cold, icy eyes were shown. They held poison-tempered daggers, holding up the detection orb, searching everywhere. The leader's voice was very low, but he couldn't hide his ruthlessness. He said, "Must act before we reach the 3rd level. Otherwise, all these divine artifacts will emerge. The great dragon will be furious. Step by step, they are closing in." I held my breath when the nearest death warrior approached me. The next second, I removed invisibility. The real thunder heaven was pressed against his abdomen. The sound of cannon fire exploded inside the cave. Didn't even shout. He collapsed right by the wall. Almost at the same time, Leah fired 3 arrows at once. 3 men were sealed with throats. The remaining death warriors were startled away. Drew his sword and lunged. In the cave, a light and arrow light flashed simultaneously. True blazing fire sealed the cave entrance. The holy light arrow pierced through the smoke and dust. Less than 10 minutes. Only 1 death warrior remains. I drove him against the rock wall with the barrel of a cannon. Remove the mask. Twisted face appeared. I asked him, what else does the dragon know? What exactly is the weakness hidden in the 3rd level? At first he was stubborn, but once the muzzle was pressed against the throat, his eyes immediately became confused. He said in a trembling voice, "The hatchling dragon in the 3rd stage seems to have unlimited regeneration. The key lies in the leader's chest heart. All he had to do was shatter this primordial heart. Even if his body was intact, it can also die instantly and fall. As long as the leader dies, this completely cuts off the root cause of the dragon's endless hatching." I listened to it. The last piece of the puzzle fell in my heart. The 3rd level, no longer a dead end. I gave him a quick finish. Leah looked at me. Her eyes were full of surprise. I looked down at the 3 weapons. True blazing fire, extreme ice and snow, true thunder. Tomorrow, I'll take down the leader of the evil flame baby dragon that has killed countless warriors, send them back into the darkness. The next morning, we stood before a huge stone gate, dragon head relief on the door, twisted and twisted, opening its mouth, as if it was about to bite down at any moment. Leah gripped her holy light longbow tightly. She asked me, "You ready?" I nodded. He stuffed the thick spine of scroll into her hand. "You don't need to attack later. Just give us shields. Add blood. Activate amplification. Unlimited scrolls to use. Separate province. Use it in death." Leah nodded firmly. His gaze was sharper than the dragon pattern on the door. Worked together to push open the stone door. A heavy grinding sound, like a giant beast slowly awakening. Behind the door, it is a huge huge circular plaza. The sky was darkened by purple flames. Hundreds of evil flame baby dragons circled in the air. At the center lay a young dragon leader, over 30 meters long. The bat wings spread wide. The heat wave hit her face directly. It opens its mouth wide. He shouted angrily. Tiny humans, daring to break into my nest, looking for death. Purple dragon flames erupted with a roar. The fire pillar is over 10 meters wide, like a river of fire that could swallow a city. I yelled, "Do it!" Leah instantly tore open the defense scroll. Old silver and blue shields stacked in front of us. Dragon flame crashed into the shield. It sizzled. The shield was burned and shook violently, yet she stubbornly endured it. The ground outside the shield has already melted. The stone turned into a dark red flowing pulp. The heat wave separated by 3 layers of barriers can burn your face until you feel a pain. Leah's hands didn't stop. Scrolls were torn open one by one. Scraps of paper flew around her like snowflakes. The dragon horde began to change direction. From high altitude, dive to coasting close to the ground. They want to slip into the shield's dead corner. Over 100 young dragons surged forward at the same time. Their bodies swell. Prepare to self-destruct. I cry. Keep casting shields. Don't stop. Leah's hands moved so fast that only afterimages remained. Layer upon layer of shields stacked up. Like a transparent city wall, the fledgling dragon erupted in succession outside. Poisonous fog filled the square. I stand in the center of the shield. 3 weapons are drawn simultaneously. Red fire, blue ice, purple thunder. Light up together. True blazing fire. The crimson fire stream blasted out, confronted the purple flame dragon breath head on. 2 bursts of fire exploded in midair. The heat wave kicked up rubble. The whole square looked like the pot lid had been lifted. Second strike. Extreme ice and snow. An icy storm swept across the arena. The fledgling dragons that pounced on froze into ice sculptures one by one. Their self-destruction was forcibly interrupted. His wings were still spread. His body was already frozen in midair. The third strike. True thunder. The dark purple lightning light condensed into a line at the cannon barrel. Lock the leader's belly soft armor. I called out to Leah, the final layer of amplification. She gritted her teeth and tore open 3 power scrolls. 3 speed scrolls. Golden light fell upon me. The barrel of the True Thunder's cannon was dazzlingly bright. Give me no one high school. 3 attacks were launched simultaneously once again. Blazing flames pressed the formation. Ice and snow control the venue. Thunderous finishing blow. The young dragon leader flapped his wings wildly, trying to dodge. The dragon flame was suppressed by the fire, the scales cracked by the ice. His abdomen was struck by lightning. It let out a piercing roar. The massive body crashed to the ground. The entire square sank along with it. The leader died. The fledgling dragons in the sky instantly lost their strength. The frozen ice sculptures cracked apart, turned into a pile of black slag. Stage 3 boss. Leader of the evil flame baby dragon. Kill. Leah was stunned for a full half-minute, then she burst out laughing and crying. She said, "We made it through. That deadly pass that no one has ever passed alive. We broke through it." I walked over to the leader's corpse. Use a dagger to cut open the scorching chest cavity. Hot air rushed over him, almost burned the back of my hand. Deep within the heart, a fist-sized crystal was pulsating. Purple flame swirled inside, like a star that never burns out. Crystallized heart of dragon flame. Hunt. It pulses in my palm. It was as if he was trying to break free. I put the dragon flame heart crystal deep inside my backpack. Between the 3 materials, suddenly a faint resonance arose. The core of the steel tank's power. The main blade of the soul-devouring side. Crystallized heart of dragon flame. 3 types of materials. Finally, together, I looked up, toward the end of the square. There is a staircase there, leading straight to the summit of Long Cow. But I didn't go up immediately. The artifact hasn't been forged yet. Charging forward would be a death sentence. I said to Leah, "Return to the city of warriors. Find the best master smith. Sword of the Earl, the true truth is born. This is the time of the dragon's death." We rode gale war horses. After half a day, he rushed back to the city of warriors. The soldiers at the city gate saw us first. He was completely stunned. The next second, cheers erupted from the city walls, like fire rising from dry wood. It instantly engulfed the entire city. They are back. They have overcome 3 trials of the dragoness. The streets are packed with residents on both sides. Someone was hanging with a cane. Someone was holding a child. But my tears are shining brightly. It's been 3 months. They saw it for the first time. The dragon is not invincible. Leah waved to the crowd. Her eyes were red. The corners of his mouth kept smiling. I watched this scene. Her heart was gently jolted as well. In the post-apocalyptic game, everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to live by stepping on others. But the people here hold on to the last bit of hope. It ended up in my hands. This weight, heavier than any divine artifact. We didn't stop. He headed straight to the forging workshop. The best forging master in town. His name was Tony. He was a dwarf with graying hair. His arms were thicker than a normal person's legs. A hammer fell. Sparks can splash up to half a person height. Saw the blueprints and materials in my backpack. The eyes lit up instantly. Even his breathing grew heavy. He picked up the blueprints with trembling hands. That's right. Artifact blueprint for the goddess of creation. He picked up 3 more materials. His voice was hoarse. For over 10,000 years, this sword finally had a chance to see the light of day again. I pushed the materials in front of him. "Master Tony, please." Tony nodded solemnly. He said, even if it meant risking his life. He also wanted to forge the true Count's sword. Finished. He immediately gathered all the apprentices in the workshop. Begin preparing to forge forge the artifact. Forge the true count sword. The process is extremely strict. First of all, you need to use the steel tank core paired with meteorite, forging at high temperatures of 10-0 degrees 1,000 times, forged into a sturdy blade. Secondly, the main blade must be the soul-devouring scythe-blending dragon tendon and dragon bone. The hilt is meticulously crafted. Not a hair's breadth of error was possible. Finally, the dragon flame heart crystal of the evil flame baby dragon leader was polished and embedded into the sword hilt. Grants the artifact the power to break armor and burn evil. Only then can the dragon's scales be split open. Master Tony led his apprentices, forging day and night without pause. The sound of forging echoed for 3 days and nights. People from the city of warriors. He waited outside the workshop for 3 days and nights. Early morning on the third day, first ray of sunlight shines into the workshop. Inside the quenching pool, suddenly a flash of red light lit up. Master Tony's hands trembled. He took out a long sword from the pool. The sword blade is long and slender. Red light flows. Sword-hilted dragon crystal pounded like a heart. The true count sword became. Tony's eyes were full of tears. The crowd outside the city heard the news. Cheers thundered across the streets. I stepped forward, gripping the hilt of the sword. The blade of the sword was slightly cool, but the weight is just right. That moment, I can feel the points and coins heating up too. They seem to echo each other across fate. With this sword, the dragon's scales are no longer an iron wall. Its heart is no longer out of reach. Leah was also fully prepared. The eyes are extremely firm, determined to fight side by side with me, a newly slain evil dragon. I gripped the true count sword tightly in my hand. He reminded Master Tony, goblin army under the dragon's command might launch a sneak attack. He was tasked with leading all the city's people to strictly defend the main city. Tony gripped the hammer tightly, nodding heavily. He said, "Rest assured, hero, await your triumphant return." I didn't say anything more. He turned and mounted his horse. Helia charged north again. This time, the wind no longer smells only of sulfur. There was also an uncontrollable fighting spirit. Dragon dominates Rubatos. Your dead day has come. Half a day later, we returned to the entrance of the Dragon Nest Abyss, but this time the canyon was unusually quiet. No goblins, no bat demons. There was no roar of the fledgling dragon. Even the wind felt as if someone was choking its throat. Leah frowned. It's so quiet. Dragon knows we're here. I opened a radar orb. The entire canyon has only one huge red dot, pulsing atop the dragon's nest. There was no ambush. It was waiting for me at the mountaintop. This is arrogance. Was also a declaration of war. It simply doesn't believe it. A human can stab a sword into its heart, but more so, the more I dare not relax. A truly powerful enemy. Even silence could be a trap. We passed through the ruins of the first 3 levels, arriving at the stairs leading to the summit. The stone steps beneath her feet were pitifully narrow. The wind blew up from the abyss, like countless people crying below. Leah and I climbed step by step. No one said a word. Halfway there, suddenly a dragon's roar erupted from the mountaintop. The whole mountain trembled. The next second, black dragon breath dove down from the clouds, like a burning black river, straight up to our heads. Leah's face instantly turned pale. She shouted, "Hide quickly," but the stone steps had already shattered. Ahead was Longshi. Behind it was an abyss. We have no way out. Tremble in the balance. I hugged Leah tightly. Throw out infinite paper airplanes. Paper airplanes are covered in black smoke, landing on the rocks that protrude above. At 1 second, I even stopped breathing. If the paper airplane were burned by dragon breath, we will disappear along with the stone steps. Before the white light appeared, I could almost smell the charred hem of my clothes. Leah gripped my arm tightly. Nails almost dug into her flesh. She wasn't afraid of dying. She was afraid we would die before we even saw the dragon. I patted her on the shoulder. Feel relieved. Only it will die. We didn't keep climbing. The stone steps beneath his feet had already been destroyed. The rock walls were also softened by the dragon's breath. The stairs are gone. Then I won't take the steps. I threw out the paper airplane again, directly aiming for the summit of the dragon nest. White light pierced through the black smoke, and it at the peak plaza. The next second, I carried Leah and teleported upstairs. He had just steadied himself. A terrifying pressure pressed down on his chest. It was as if there was a mountain. It slammed directly onto his body. In the center of the square, a pitch black dragon coiled around it. Its body exceeds 100 meters. Black dragon scales clasped against his body. The massive dragon wings were tucked behind his back. Crimson eyes stared at us. Every breath exhaled black smoke. That is Barubatos, the ultimate calamity in the world of DDTank. It looked down at me. The sound made his eardrums ache. "Foreign humans, you actually made it here alive," it said. "You killed my god, destroyed my chariot." He even forged the goddess's broken sword. I raised the true count sword. The tip of the sword was pointed at it. "Barubatos, your good days are over. Today, I use this sword. End this disaster." Dragon suddenly burst into laughter. The laughter shook the rocks wildly. The entire mountaintop was shaking. It said, tens of thousands of years ago, even the goddess of creation could only seal it. Now the goddess is dead. Why should I kill it? It stood up. A massive shadow covered half the square. And those red eyes. All of it was disdain. Then it said a sentence. It made my chest tighten sharply. "It can help me get back to reality. Return to your parents. As long as I get on my knees. Be its servant. It could even give me back the home I wanted most. It actually knows my parents. It knows my deepest obsession. I gripped the hilt tightly. The knuckles are white, but I quickly laughed. Parents are not my weak spot. That's the reason I have to win. I smiled coldly. Want me to surrender? You don't deserve it yet. The dragon was furious. Black dragon breath burst out again. The ground instantly melted into lava. I pushed Leah away. True kamikaze speed erupted beneath his feet. His body shifted sideways. Long Ji brushed past him. Leah immediately drew her bow. A dozen enchantment arrows, simultaneously shooting at the giant dragon. Barbatos flapped his wings. A black hurricane swept out. The arrow hadn't even gotten close. It was ground to dust. Flowed by. The dragon tail lashed toward Leah like a steel whip. If that strike had landed, she would be smashed on the spot. My pupils shrank. True Thunder Heaven raised his hand and fired the cannon. The shell struck the dragon's tail. Scales are broken, but it caused the tail to tilt by an inch. That's the exact inch. Saved Leah's life. The dragon tail crashed to the ground. The crack instantly covered half the square. Leah stepped back behind me. The face turned pale. I called her. Hold back its wings. Don't let it fly. Poured my power into the True Count's sword. The dragon crystal on the sword hilt lit up. The powers of fire, ice and lightning wrapped around the blade. I aimed at the dragon's chest. He swung out. The first sword light. The red blade light sliced through the air. Ding! The sword light struck the black scales. Not a single trace was left behind. My heart sank suddenly. The True Count's sword. He couldn't break through its scales. The dragon laughed wildly. It said, even the divine artifact depends on who uses it. He fell into my hands, but I just tickled it. The next second, black fireballs rained down like a torrential rain. Wind blades sealed the surroundings. All escape routes were blocked. I have activated all the defensive orbs. Light shield stacked layer upon layer ahead. The attack came crashing down. The explosions echoed in succession. Cracks in the shield spread wildly. My throat went sweet. Blood spurted out. It's too strong. It's not a monster you can compare to in the first 3 stages. Just as the shield was about to shatter, Leah suddenly shouted, its weakness. The reverse scale is located at the heart location. I looked up sharply. Really? In the center of its chest, there is a palm-sized white scale. Not the True Count's sword has no power. That I didn't hit its weak spot. But just as I saw through my weakness, the shield shattered with a bang. Black fire and wind blade pressed down simultaneously. I hugged Leah tightly. Use your back to block the first wave of impact. Gravel and flames hit his back. It hurt so much that my eyes turned black. The bones felt like they had been twisted off. I spat out another mouthful of blood. His knees nearly dropped to his knees. Leah, eyes red, called my name. I gritted my teeth and stood up. Wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. I can't fall. For her, for this city, and for the parents in real life. The dragon looks down on us. He sneered and urged me to kneel. It said, rebel again. Neither Leah nor I will leave behind a whole corpse. I didn't answer. Bring out top-tier healing potions. He downed it in one gulp. The warming medicinal power spreads throughout the body. Burn healing. Bone severance reposition. His stamina was maxed out again. For the first time, a flash of surprise appeared in the dragon's eyes. Forthwith, it was an even fiercer anger. It opens its huge mouth. Condensed an even more terrifying black dragon breath than before. Space began to distort. I know. The next blow cannot be taken head on. You have to bet on a second. I opened all the defensive orbs. A thick shield wall was erected in front of them. Then he shouted at Leah, shoot it in the eye. Give me a second. Leah didn't ask why. She pulled her bow to the limit. The holy light arrow on the string shone like a small sun. Arrows broke through the wind and shot out, heading straight for the dragon's left eye. Barbatos instinctively closed his eyes. He tilted his head slightly. It was at that very moment I tossed out paper airplanes. Activate teleportation. His body vanished in an instant. When it reappears, was already close to the dragon's chest. Reverse scales, right in front of my eyes. The distance was less than 3 meters. The dragon snapped out of it. The pupils shrank suddenly. It opened its mouth to breathe dragon breath. But it's too late. I poured all my power into the True Count's sword. Flame, ice, thunder, the sacred glow within the goddess gold coin. The moment the sword blade pierced the reverse scale, I felt like my whole arm was about to break. The power within the dragon's heart was rebounding. It was as if thousands of thunderbolts were surging outward. I didn't let go. Both feet stepped on the scales on its chest. Let black blood splatter all over the armor. Barubatos's body suddenly stiffened. Mournful dragon's roar. Tears opened the mountaintop. The black clouds were all scattered. It lowered its head to look at the light on its chest. For the first time, fear appeared in his eyes. Black blood gushed from the corner of his mouth. It couldn't believe it. It actually lost to a tiny human. The dragon slowly fell. The massive dragon body crashed heavily onto the square. The whole mountain trembled. His bloodshot eyes slowly dimmed. The ultimate boss. The dragon dominates Rubatos. Kill. Watch the fallen dragon. The tense nerves finally relaxed. Her legs went weak. Almost fell to his knees. Leah rushed over to support me. She looked at the dragon's corpse. Tears fell one by one. She cried as she spoke. Laughing, she said, DDTank, we won. I looked at her. He laughed too. Oh yes, we won. This disaster has been weighing on the world of Dandan for 3 months. Finally ended. Children of the city of warriors. No more sleeping with Duanjian in his arms. Soldiers on the city walls. There was no need to wait for the next dragon breath. And I can finally go home. At this moment, the coupon coins on my chest glowed gold. The goddess's phantom. He appeared before me again. This time, there was no sign of fatigue on her face. Only a gentle smile. She said, the brave Li Tianxi, you have completed the trial. You slay the dragon. Save the world. Right now, she will keep her promise. Grant me true rebirth authority. Sent me back to the real world. Golden light enveloped my body. Wind, smell of blood, gunpowder, all began to drift away. I turned to look at Leah. She stood outside the light. There was reluctance in his eyes, yet he still tried hard to smile. I say, Leah, goodbye. Take care of the city of warriors for me. She nodded vigorously. He said, bon voyage. You must live well with your family. I didn't say anything more. He turned and stepped into the golden light. I suddenly opened my eyes. Before my eyes is no dragon's nest, nor is it a ruined city. I stood at the entrance of the unit downstairs from my own building. In Hunt, she was even carrying the strawberry cake she bought for her mom. I looked up and looked around. The familiar convenience store, familiar residential buildings, grandparents sunbathing at the door. The orange cat downstairs was still lying on the electric bike seat. He lazily wagged his tail. Someone by the roadside was carrying vegetables. Someone called. Some complained that it was too hot today. All the sounds blended together. The noise made my eyes sting. I stood where I was, like a ghost suddenly returning to the human world, reluctant to bear the eye. Everything was so real. It made me tremble. I pulled out my phone. Displayed on the screen. June 18, 25, 5:30 p.m. It was the day I got into trouble. But when you actually stand at the entrance of the unit, I actually didn't dare go upstairs. The cake box in my hand was deformed by me. The cream was almost being squeezed out. From the hallway, the sound of neighbors closing doors came from the hallway. Elevator displays jumped down layer by layer. Everything was so normal it didn't feel real. I looked down at my own hand. No burns. There is no blood. Nor was there any crack from the sharpening of the sword. Tears welled up all at once. I rushed into the apartment building like a madman. The elevator door opens. I rushed to the doorstep. That security door. So familiar. It made my heart ache. With trembling hands I took out the keys. Click. The door opened. Warm yellow lights flashed out. Dad sat on the sofa reading the newspaper. Hearing the voice, I looked up and smiled. He said, "Why is it so early today?" In the kitchen, Mom came out carrying the braised pork. There was still a bit of oil star on her apron. She laughed and complained to me. I didn't say anything in advance when I came back. "Wash your hands quickly. The braised pork is just out of the pot." I looked at their faces. Tears completely burst forth. I rushed over and hugged them. "Father, Mother, I ain't back. I really miss you." They froze when I held them. Dad gently patted my back. Mom patted my head. He asked if I had been wronged. They don't know. If passed through the apocalypse, passing through the dragon's nest, passing through one death after another. I shook my head. Wipe away your tears. Today is my birthday. I want to eat dumplings made by Mom. Mom smiled and gently tapped my nose. Turn around and walk into the kitchen, indulgently responding below. Dad pulled me to sit on the sofa, pour warm water over it. She smiled and asked me what happened today. I didn't mention the post-apocalyptic game. He didn't mention the world of Dandantung, nor did he ever talk about those life or death battles. I don't want my parents to worry. I don't want them to know. Her own son had been on the edge of life and death countless times. He only accompanied them in casual chatting. Let's talk about work. Let's talk about the trivial little things in life. The daily life that once felt dull and dull, but now it has become the most precious piece in my heart. At the dinner table, they're all set up with my favorite dishes. Mom cooked steaming hot longevity noodles. I'd poured the juice. The whole family laughed and sang my birthday song. He ate the longevity noodles, bites after bites. Looking at his parents' smiling faces, her heart was filled with warmth and reassurance. Originally, this is the life I truly want. It was also because I gave it my all. A harbor you must return to. After the meal, I returned to my room. I sat at my desk. I took out the DDTank point coupon coin that had accompanied me for over a year. It still shimmered with a gentle golden glow. The infinite power within. It has never faded away. I smiled faintly. Put it deep into the Shawnee. That thrilling journey to another world. With that, the curtain was completely concluded. I am no longer the planner in the apocalypse, nor is he the savior hero of the Dan Bomb Hall world. In the future, I am just an ordinary Li Tianxi. I just want to stay by my parents' side, live in peace, year after year accompanying each other. From the kitchen came the sound of Mom washing dishes. In the living room, Dad was watching TV. Fireworks in the world. The years are quiet. Everything is stable and beautiful. I leaned back in my chair. Rest assured, close your eyes. Mom and Dad, I am back. This time, I will never go far again. Always by your side. Let me calm my eyes again. The floor beneath my feet was no longer the wooden floor of the house. It was the bluestone road of the warrior's city. My first reaction was to clench my fists. Wrong. That's not right. There is no war there. No smoke or smoke. Oh, goblin roar. Flower baskets lined up by the street. The fountain is crystal clear. The sky was so blue it looked as if it had been wiped clean. It can surpass harmony and harmony. The colder my back became, because of the people on the street. Everyone was laughing. That kind of smile is not the smile of a living person. It's the curve of the mouth curving with a string. The bread-selling man mechanically handed over the bread. Then it was withdrawn, and then submitted again. The movements repeat over and over. The patrol soldiers walked past me. Their steps were so synchronized it looked like they were carved from the same mold. Children stunned by the fountain clapping. His eyes were hollow and devoid of any light. I shouted. No one looked back. I rushed up to an old man. She gave him a hard pat on the shoulder. His eyes didn't move. He only repeated one sentence. The city of warriors is very peaceful. I felt my scalp tingle as I listened. This is not peace. It was like the entire city was being locked into a beautiful cage. At this moment, suddenly the clock tower in the city center rang out. Everyone stopped their movements at the same time. Chi shua shua. turned to look at me. He still had smiles on their faces, but there was no trace of humanity in his eyes. The moment the whole city looked at me at once, I knew I had not returned to peace. Instead, he fell into a dream demon that the goddess had personally invented. I instinctively took half a step back. His fingers reached for his waist. Only that coupon gold coin felt hot in his palm. The next second, the residents on the street resumed their movements as if a wire had been cut. Bread seller continued to hand over bread. The soldiers continued their patrols. The child kept clapping. That glance just now. It seemed like it was just my imagination, but I don't believe in illusions. I rushed toward the forge. That's the place I know best. Master Tony is playing three things at that time. The materials were fused into the true Count's sword. As long as he was still conscious, I can figure out what exactly happened here. The workshop doors spread open. The stove was burning brightly. Tony stood in front of the anvil. Hammer after hammer smashing a piece of scrap iron that will never deform. The interval between each hammer, so precise it made my chest feel tight. I rushed over and grabbed his arm. Master Tony, it's me, Li Tian. I am back. His hammer stopped midair. Her eyes slowly turned toward me. He opened his mouth. He only uttered one sentence. The city of warriors is very peaceful. I shook him hard. Look at me. What about the true Count's sword? What about Leah? Do you still remember how we broke through the dragon's nest together? Tony didn't respond. The hammer came down again. I looked down at the anvil. There was no iron block on top. It was a broken golden rune. With every knock, the runes lit up briefly. It was as if he was channeling some kind of power into the entire city. I was just about to reach out and touch it. Suddenly, the sound of synchronized footsteps came from outside the door. A dozen or so guards stood at the workshop entrance. A smile appeared on his stiff face. Peacebreaker. To be corrected by the goddess. Correction. Gritted my teeth. Once the goddess sent me into this world. Say I'm a brave person. She made me slay a new dragon. Save the city of warriors. But now, the dragon is dead. The city came back to life. She locked everyone's minds shut. What chilled me even more was, in this city, there wasn't even a trace of Leia left. Her favorite fountain stepped together with us. In the corner of the tavern where she rested, where she often practiced archery. All the places she had stayed on the high city walls. Now, everything is empty. I ran all over the tavern, running all over the city walls. On every street we walked before our first fight side by side, but when everyone heard the name Leah, the reactions are the same. They pause at first, then smile. Finally he answered me in a hollow voice. There was no such person in the city of warriors. There is no such person. My chest felt like it was being cut repeatedly by a dull knife. That one still needs to be confirmed under dragon breath. Did the girl lose the Count's sword? The sharpshooter who accompanied me through chariots, demon lairs and dragon lairs? It was actually wiped clean by this city, just as I was about to be crushed by despair. Paper airplane suddenly flew in from the alley entrance, gently bumping against the tips of my shoes. I picked up the paper airplane. His fingertips had just touched the paper. Familiar spatial ripples rippled out through the gaps in the paper. This folding method is very familiar. It was I who saved it during the Battle of Dragon Nest. This kind of teleportation paper airplane. 4 characters were written on the paper airplane. Warrior's Secret Realm. But there was still a blood-red scratch on the corner of the paper. Leah is in trouble. I don't hesitate anymore. Racing along the wall shadow, they rushed all the way toward the west side of the city. The Warrior's Secret Realm is located in the most remote corner of the Warrior City. It used to be just a newbie trial ground. Later, it became the spatial junction between reality and the world of Dandantan. That place is not under the temple's jurisdiction, nor could it be completely corrupted by external divine power. The closer I got to the Secret Realm, the fewer people on the streets. To the end, even the patrol sounds disappeared. Only a dilapidated stone gate stands in the mist. A faint silver light flowed through the crack in the door. I was just about to go in. Suddenly, a little girl's voice sounded behind her. Brother, there is no peace there. I turned around abruptly. The little girl clapping by the fountain stood in the distance. His face still wore a stiff smile. The tear actually seeped from the corner of his eye. Her lips were trembling. It felt as if something was tearing at her body. Save use. As soon as those 3 words fell, the light in her eyes instantly went out. The next second, she started clapping again. He kept repeating that the city of warriors was peaceful. My heart shook hard. It turned out they were not completely controlled. They were simply pinned to the deepest part of their bodies. Visible. I can hear it, but it couldn't move. He couldn't shout. I was holding onto the paper airplane. He turned and charged into the secret realm. Silver light engulfed my body. The surroundings suddenly twisted. When I landed, before him was a floating stone platform. Above her head, the Milky Way hangs upside down. Mist churned beneath his feet. Deep in the secret realm, a familiar figure leaned against the stone wall. Leah looked up. His pale face was full of exhaustion. I rushed up to her, just as I was about to help her. But she grabbed my wrist. Her palm was icy cold. Her fingertips were covered in tiny scars. The longbow was covered in cracks and blood. True Count's sword was slanted into a crevice in the rock. The blade's glow was so dim it looked like he was about to fall asleep. My voice was hoarse. What the hell happened? Leah looked at the entrance to the secret realm. His gaze was like a taut bowstring. She said, 3 days after the dragon's death, city began to feel strange. First the patrolling soldiers forgot to change shifts. Then the tavern owner forgot about his daughter. In the end, everyone started repeating the same sentence. The city of warriors is very peaceful. Leah walked to the center of the stone platform. Used broken arrows to draw a simple map on the ground. Beneath the goddess temple, there is a core secret chamber. In the center of the secret chamber hung the piece holy crystal. It absorbs the goddess's divine power. Then he channeled divine power through the runes inside the city, delivered to everyone's mind. The runes on Tony's hammer. It is one of the branch nodes. Thought out of his hollow eyes, his fist clenched tightly. Destroy the holy crystal. The formation will collapse. People in the city will regain their memories. The goddess's control would also fail. The problem is, outside the temple there were brainwashed people everywhere. We cannot hurt them, but they will desperately block us. Leah gave a bitter smile. The scariest thing is not the guards. It's an ordinary person. They will hold on to your legs. It will block the doorway. He will use his own body to protect the goddess's peace. I was silent. Deal with the dragon. I can fire the cannon. Dealing with demons, I can set fires. But when it comes to those residents who once entrusted their hopes to me, I can't go too hard. Leah seemed to see right through my thoughts. Said softly, Li Tianchi, don't treat them as enemies. They were simply trapped. What we need to do is not fight our way out. Barged in a wake, Leah picked up the true count's sword. The blade trembled slightly in her hand. She handed me the sword. It once accompanied you in slaying the dragon. Right now, I should also help you break through false peace. I gripped my sword. A faint warmth came from the hilt. At this moment, the fog at the entrance to the secret realm suddenly churned. Voices of thousands of people came from outside. Peacebreaker, come out and accept purification. We haven't left the secret realm yet. The entire city had already surrounded the exit like a prison of living people. Leah and I stood side by side behind the stone gate, looking out through the silver mist. Denser crowds of people filled the street. There are soldiers. There is a blacksmith. Have children. There are old people. They didn't have any deadly weapons like dragon claws in their hands. Some only hold wooden sticks. Some even went barehanded. But this is the most ruthless part. The goddess knew I wouldn't go all out with them, so she turned the entire city into her shield. Leah whispered, it cannot be dragged out. The magical array outside the secret world was being strengthened. A little later, the goddess might even be able to invade here. I took a deep breath. Hold the paper airplane between your fingers. We don't go through the front door. She looked at me. His eyes lit up. I tossed the first paper airplane. Target was the rooftop across the street. A flash of white light. I carried Leah straight through the human wall, falling on tiles. The crowd below all looked up at the same time. Got it. The sound surged like a tide. The next second, countless stones, sticks and ropes flew toward the rooftops. I immediately took the Bulgu shield out of my backpack. All attacks were deflected. Leah drew her spare short bow, shooting numbing arrows at the edge of the eaves. Hold the person who climbs up in place. They don't complain of pain. Nor was he afraid, just mechanically climbing upward. I felt a chill in my heart watching this. This is not a chase. It was the goddess who turns the living into a wave. Another wave of mechanisms that never stop. I tossed paper airplanes again. He teleported with Leah to the top of the clock tower. The distant temple was getting closer and closer. I looked down. The square was so crowded that there wasn't even a place to stand. Just as I was about to force my way in, a familiar hammer sound suddenly came from afar. Tony held up his hammer. He is walking toward us step by step. The moment Tony, being manipulated, raised the hammer, I almost forgot he once forged the savior's sword with the same hands. He stood at the very front of the crowd. The grey-white beard remained completely still. His gaze was frighteningly vacant. Every step forward, the ground runes will light up for a moment. Surrounding residents stepped aside as if receiving orders. Leah's face darkened. Tony is a master smith. The goddess must have transformed him into a mobile node. I looked at his chest. Sure enough, a golden rune was embedded beneath the apron. The runes were exactly the same as those on the anvil, only the light is brighter. Tony suddenly grabbed the hammer. The air was blasted into a ring of shockwaves. The tiles of the bell tower shattered in large patches. Leah and I leapt away at the same time. That hammer landed at the edge of the clock tower. A corner of the stone wall collapsed instantly. If you get hit, even Barov's shield might not be able to withstand it. I immediately fired the freeze bomb. The cold instantly froze Tony's legs. His movements finally slowed down a beat. But Tony paused slightly. His arm was raised again. The goddess's divine power was firmly controlling him within his body. I gritted my teeth and rushed over. Master Tony, wake up. You said you would wait for my triumphant return. You say the true Earl's sword has seen the light of day again. It is the hope of the city of warriors. His hammer hung above my head. The wind crashing down messed up my hair. Right at the last inch, his hand suddenly trembled. I saw a trace of struggle in his eyes. Come on, Leah shouted. Words just fell. The residents behind Tony suddenly rushed over. I gritted my teeth. He grabbed Leah and threw out the paper airplane. Before the white light appeared, I saw Tony suddenly turn the hammer. He blocked the street corner with the hammer body. He firmly blocked the pursuing crowd. Blocking the street corner. This time, he's not a puppet. I kept using paper airplanes with Leah. Teleport into the back door of the temple, all the way forward, passing through 3 stone gates. Finally, they arrived at the underground hall, forging iron plaques and pasting them on the stone gate. A heavy back door silently opened. There were no guards inside the gate. There is only a single white jade staircase extending downward. The walls are covered in murals. The painting depicts the goddess creating the world and sealing it. Scenes of dragons protecting all beings. If I hadn't seen the puppet city outside, I almost thought she was the eternally correct savior. In the center of the hall, a crystal radiating a soft golden light floated in midair. That is the piece holy crystal. I stared at that piece holy crystal, but a strong sense of unease rose in his heart. It went so smoothly. Going so smoothly, it's almost unusual. Since the goddess can control the entire city, it is impossible to remain unaware of our infiltration. He is even less likely to put the most important core placed in an unguarded place. I didn't do it right away. Instead, he took out an ordinary stone. He threw it at the holy crystal. The stone had just touched the golden light around the holy crystal. The entire hall instantly changed its expression. The murals on the walls are all twisted. Countless golden chains surfaced on the ground. All exits were shut with a bang. The chandelier above shattered. Countless spikes formed from golden light fell from the ceiling. My pupils shrank. It was indeed a trap. Leah immediately drew her bow. 3 arrows were fired in quick succession, breaking the spike's condensation. I raised the Count's sword. He swung his sword to block every shot aimed at us. All the spikes were turned aside. A fake sacred crystal burst forth with a blinding golden light. The goddess's voice came from all directions. Li Tianqi, Leah, you really came. I've been waiting for you for a long time. The golden light dissipated. The goddess's figure appeared beside the holy crystal. She wore a white dress. A sorrowful smile appeared on his face, but in those eyes, yet there was not a trace of warmth. You think I will put the real core? Put it in such an easy place to find. The fake holy crystal shattered instantly. The first phantom. It's my mother. She stood in the hall, holding longevity noodles. The eye sockets are red. They asked me why I was leaving again. The second phantom. It's Dad. He sat on the sofa. He said in a weary voice, providential. Go home. Forget about this place. My feet felt nailed. Leah immediately stepped in front of me. Don't look, this is an illusion. But when the third phantom appeared, but she froze. Those were her parents who died in the dragon's breath. The goddess's voice came from all directions. Drop your weapon. You can return to the peace you most desire. The goddess's most ruthless part. Not controlling the entire city, but she knew the piece of flesh everyone missed the most. From the apocalypse to the dragon's nest. From dragons to goddesses. I just want to go home. Just want to have an ordinary birthday. But fate is like a hook that refuses to let go. Time and again dragging me back to the battlefield. My fingers slowly loosened. The true Count's sword slid down an inch. At this moment, a suppressed sobbing voice came from Leah's end. Her parents' phantom stood before her. Open your arms. He told her not to take revenge anymore. Her lips turned pale. He could barely hold his bow or arrow. I suddenly snapped awake. Wrong. The people who truly love us never use our weaknesses to force us to give up on others. I raised my sword. The sword blade held across his palm. A slight sting made the phantom before my eyes tremble. I stared at my mother's illusion. His voice was hoarse. You are not my mother. My mom will feel sorry for me, but she won't let me go home stepping on the freedom of a city's people. The phantom's smile froze. I looked at Dad again. My real dad taught me one can not only care about living comfortably. The golden light began to twist. I rushed to Leah's side. He grabbed her shoulder with a single force. Leah, see clearly. They are not your family. They are the goddess's GA lock placed over the wound. Leah's tears rolled down, but suddenly drew the bow. The moment the arrow pierced through the phantom, the entire hall cracked open. The fake holy crystal shattered. But the real door. And finally, it was revealed. Leah wiped away her tears, standing firm again. Her gaze was much colder than before. I know. The goddess had completely crossed her last bottom line. I inserted the true Count's sword into the door crack. The dragon crystal on the blade lit up. The light slipped into the door crack like a key. The white giant door slowly opened. There was no room behind the door. There was only a golden lake suspended in the void. In the middle of the lake, a small crystal floated on it. That was the true peace, holy crystal. But as soon as I stepped in, the lake beneath your feet reflects countless faces. Those faces were all residents of the city of warriors. They were trapped beneath the surface. His mouth opened and closed silently. His eyes were pained yet clear-headed. They were calling for help. My chest tightened sharply. The goddess brought the consciousness of the entire city. All of it was pressed into this lake. Let's take a step forward. The lake water stretched out its golden arms. They want to drag us into it too. Liala shot his arm with his bow, but the broken golden light quickly recondensed. I immediately fired dozens of freezing bombs at the bottom of the lake. Cold instantly spread, freezing his outstretched arm in midair. We charged toward the holy crystal on the ice. When the distance was only 10 meters, the goddess finally appeared. She stood before the holy crystal. The white robe moves without wind. His face still wore that tragic expression. Tianqi, why do you always bring war back? I stopped. The sword tip pointed at her. What I brought back was not war. Is a choice. The goddess gently shook her head. Choices bring desire. Desire leads to conflict. Fighting brings death. Though you have gained a new dragon, but it cannot save the evil dragon in people's hearts. She raised her hand. The entire golden lake boiled over. Then I'll do it for everyone. Close that door forever. The moment the goddess raised her hand, ice beneath my feet was completely shattered. Golden lake water soared into the sky. Like countless chains wrapped around Leah and me, I swung my sword to sever the chain of light before me. Leah rolled over and retreated. 3 arrows shot straight at the goddess's forehead, but the arrow had only halfway through the air. It hovered in midair. It was as if an invisible hand was pinching me. The goddess gently waved her hand. All the arrows shattered into light powder. It's even harder to deal with than a dragon. The dragon at least has a physical body. There is a reverse scale. There is a heart. The goddess was the master of this heart domain. In a single thought, the lake water is a weapon. The holy crystal is the city wall. All trapped consciousnesses are her shield. I can't just chop recklessly. Each sword misses the mark. Could even harm the consciousness of the residents at the bottom of the lake. Leah clearly understood this as well. Her arrows began to be restrained, only aimed at the goddess, forcing her to move. No one touches the lake's surface. The goddess looked at us. There was some disappointment in his eyes. You are too weak. A true salvation. You must dare to make decisions for all beings. I sneered as I dodged a blade of light. Making decisions for all beings. Have you ever asked them if they are willing? Her voice suddenly rose. Wait until they regain their freedom. We'll argue again. Renew jealousy. Pick up your weapon again. again. Then someone else will die. There will be people crying again. Leah's eyes were red, but he did not retreat. She said, of course I fear war. What I fear even more is that everyone else doesn't even feel like crying or laughing for themselves. As soon as he finished speaking, the true Count's sword suddenly lit up. The eyes of several residents at the bottom of the lake also lit up faintly. My heart moved. It turns out holy crystals aren't just for swords. Free Willy. That is its true nemesis. I finally understood. The key to destroying the peace holy crystal is not brute force. Instead, let the trapped person wake up on their own. I gave up a frontal attack. But special effects speakers from the store, Leah saw me take out these things. Stunned for a moment, he immediately understood what I meant. She stood in front for me. The bowstring fired in rapid succession, forcing the goddess to retreat half a step. I turned the speaker up to maximum, shouted at Jinhu, Tony, do you still remember the day the true Count's sword was forged? You say it's worth risking your life. We must also forge hope. A dwarf at the bottom of the lake suddenly trembled on his face. I kept shouting, young soldiers on the city wall, you once said to me, please, that's not something the goddess asked you to say. You gave me the city of warriors yourself. Several young faces began to struggle. And me, I'm Leah. I have fought alongside you. We guarded the city gates together. Fight dragons together. Laughing, crying, and desperately fighting together. You are not puppets. You are my dearest family. A voice pierced through the golden light. It pierced straight into the heart of everyone who was forbidden. The figures at the bottom of the lake instantly boiled over. They all raised their hands. They desperately slapped against the golden water surface that had imprisoned them. The goddess said sternly, that's enough. These trivial desires, it only breeds pain. I stared at her. Each word was deliberate. The pain is also their own. You have no right to delete them for them. Leah's tears fell, but he smiled. Suddenly, the first muffled shout came from the bottom of the lake. I remember now. Followed by more sounds emerged from beneath the water. I remember who I am. Light of the peace holy crystal. Cracks appeared for the first time. When the first crack of the sacred crystal cracked, the goddess's sorrowful mask was also torn. She was no longer gentle, no more persuasion. She raised her hand and summoned countless golden spears. All spear tips were aimed at the newly awakened figures at the bottom of the lake. Since freedom brings you pain, then I'll make you quiet again. My pupils shrank. She wanted to forcibly reset everyone's consciousness. Leah roared angrily. The arrows formed a white line. He forcibly intercepted the mid-air spear. He also swung the true Count's sword. Sword light swept across. He smashed all the golden spears near the lake surface, but there were too many spears. The goddess drew all the power from the magic array. The sky seemed to be pouring down like a golden downpour. Every spear fell. At the bottom of the lake, a figure twisted in pain. Can't waste money like this. I instantly took the Bogu shield out of my backpack. He directly stacked a semicircular shield on the lake surface. Leah stood at the edge of the shield. Arrow pointed at the goddess. The voice was as cold as ice. You say you're afraid of death, but what you're doing now, what's the difference between it and a dragon? The goddess's body stiffened. Leah continued walking forward. Giant dragon burned the city with fire. You use crystal cores. The dragon kills people. You make life worse than death. You are just wearing different shells of disaster. This sentence is like an arrow, precisely hitting the spot the goddess least wanted to admit. Pain flashed in her eyes. It quickly turns into even deeper obsession. What do you know? I have seen the world destroyed time and again. I create them. It is their responsibility to shield them from all future hardships. I yelled. Have you ever thought about it? While you shield yourself from suffering, it also blocks their love, courage, and hope. The true Count's sword shone even brighter. The figures at the bottom of the lake began to collide with the golden water curtain. Tony's voice was the first to burst out. Lady goddess, stop living for us. More and more people joined in the shout. We must wake up. We want our own peace. The crack in the sacred crystal rapidly expanded. The goddess suddenly turned her head. For the first time, panic appeared in his eyes. As the voices of the entire city broke through Jinhu together, the goddess finally harbored real murderous intent toward me and Leah. She pressed her palms together. A massive golden divine wheel unfolded behind him. The moment the divine wheel turned, the entire heart's domain was suppressed. Shield shattered layer by layer. Waves over the lake surged hundreds of meters high. I was shaken backward. My throat tasted sweet. Leah was also sent flying by the shockwave. His back hit the ice. She gritted her teeth and got up. He hadn't even steadied himself. The goddess had already raised her hand and pointed at her. First I'll erase you, a pillar of divine power, condensed into a tangible form. Straight for Leah's chest. I want to toss paper airplanes over, but the space was locked by the divine wheel. The paper airplane burned to ashes as soon as it flew out. Leah didn't dodge. Instead, she drew her bow. Her arrow was not aimed at the goddess. It was the peace holy crystal. I instantly understood what she was going to do. Leah, no. He turned to look at me. His gaze was so calm it made my heart ache. Li Tianqi, don't let her win. The next second, she loosened her grip. The holy light arrow shot toward the holy crystal. The goddess's beam of light also struck her at the same time. Time feels like it has been torn apart. I saw Leah's body tremble violently in the golden light. He fell backward. Her arrow pierced through the storm. He plunged fiercely into the crack of the sacred crystal. Click. The saint crystal split in half. The goddess was also pushed back by the backlash. A golden light appeared at the corner of his mouth. I rushed over and hugged Leah. Her breath was weak. but her fingers still gripped the broken bow tightly. She looked at me with difficulty. Lips moved. Freedom is not your only battle. My eyes instantly turned red. The goddess stands in the distance. Finally, there was no trace of sorrow on his face, only exhaustion and madness. He raised her hand, ready to deliver a second strike, and in my arms, Leah. He could barely breathe. The moment Leah collapsed into my arms, the true Count's sword seemed to hear the heartbeat of the entire city. The sword blade suddenly trembled. Tony's hammer sounded the little girl's words to save him. Please, the young soldiers of the city walls. And the breath Leah took when she accompanied me to the peak of the dragon's nest. All of it turned into light and surged into my palm. The goddess stood before the shattered golden lake, looked at me coldly. She said, as long as I'm willing to reshape the formation, Leah will no longer feel pain. No one will be in pain anymore. I slowly put Leah down. Protect her with the final layer of shield. It doesn't hurt. It does not mean being a lie. I looked up. All I see is a dazzling red. The true Count's sword burst forth with unprecedented light. The longing for freedom of millions of controlled residents. Leah and I have walked side by side with G, and that will in my heart that refuses to bow my head. All pressed into the sword blade. The divine wheel behind the goddess surged. Golden light crashed down like a mountain. I didn't retreat. The first sword, splitting the divine wheel. The second sword, the newly broken chains were severed. The third sword, I have tread upon the golden lake. The tip of the sword pointed straight at the goddess's heart. She finally stepped back. At that moment, I saw no authority in her eyes. It's fear. I roared and swung my final sword. The sword light pierced through the entire heart domain. He directly crushed the divine power around her. He slammed her hard before the shattered holy crystal. The goddess was defeated. Leah's breath, it also gets lighter and lighter. I held Anon in my arms, holding Leah for a moment. The sword blade pressed against the goddess, just an inch away from ending it all for good. I stared at her. His voice was hoarse, as if it had been burned by fire. I've just slain a dragon, saved the world. I just want to live peacefully with the people around me. I do have to destroy all of this. The goddess sat in shattered golden light, no longer acting superior. She looked outside at the city of warriors struggling to awaken. Her eyes were filled only with exhaustion and obsession. She said she had seen too many wars. The dragon was not the first disaster. It won't be the last either. She had seen warriors turn against each other over resources. I've seen cities burn because of hatred. I've seen children crying out to their parents in the ruins. After Barupatos's death, the whole city cheered, but what she heard was not victory. It was the footsteps of the next dispute approaching. So she was afraid. She fears the emergence of new ambitious people, afraid that the artifact would be fought over, afraid that after I leave, this city was once again torn apart by the evil dragon in people's hearts. So she chose to lock everyone's minds with the peace holy crystal. Erase desire, erase hatred, erase freedom. I listened to her. The anger in his heart gradually subsided. This is more terrifying than mere evil. She truly believed she was saving everything, but she had turned a living person into a puppet with her own hands. I could have killed the goddess with a single sword, but seeing the regret in her eyes, he then lowered his head to look at Leah in his arms. In the end, I didn't stab him. What I want is not a revenge killing. I wanted. It is free peace. I put away my sword. Turn around. The goddess was stunned. It was as if she hadn't expected me to let her go. She asked me, aren't you afraid I'll make a comeback? He didn't look back. He just held Leah tightly. Step by step, they walked toward the exit. I say, you've already lost. Not losing to me. It's losing to the free will you least trust. Golden lake beneath his feet crumbled inch by inch. The shattered holy crystal could no longer support the magic array that controlled the entire city. The goddess's divine power dissipated like the ebbing tide. All the chains broke one by one. Outside is the city of warriors. Finally woke up. The bread from the uncle's hand fell to the floor. He leaned against the counter, gasping for breath. Little girl by the fountain stopped clapping, crying out for mom. The runes on Tony's hammer shattered into points of light. He staggered toward the temple. My name was shouting in my mouth, also calling out Leah's name. The dome of the temple cracked open with a thunderous crash. Golden light swept across the entire city. That is not the light of manipulation, but rather the afterglow after the ban is shattered. The city of warriors is back. Leah still hadn't woken up. Everyone regained their memories. Only Leah was still trapped in the goddess, in the darkness left by that blow. When I carried her into the treatment room, the whole city fell silent. No one cheered. No one celebrated either. Those she once saved, those who were forced to hunt us down. Everyone stood outside the corridor. Her eyes were red, not daring to make a sound. All the villagers gathered around. Top-tier healing potions were used bottle after bottle. The holy light array lit up layer by layer. Leah's injuries slowly healed. His breathing steadied a bit, but she kept her eyes closed. Tony finished the examination. His voice was as deep as iron. The goddess's strike damaged consciousness, and the body can be healed. The soul can only wait for it to walk back on its own. I hate this word the most. In the Doomsday era, waiting for such things usually means loss. But this time, I can only wait. After this contest ended, I awakened the freedom to travel through the real world. Abilities of the DDTank world. The glow of unlimited coupon coins intertwined in the healing room. There, open a small door. On the other side of the door, this is my real world room. On this side of the door, it is I who have done everything I can to protect it today. The city of warriors has finally regained its freedom. I reached through the door. He reached for his desk. Authentic wood grain. True temperature. I finally don't have to make cruel choices between two worlds. worlds anymore. Daytime, I return to reality, having breakfast with my parents. Nighty, I return to the city of warriors. Staying by Leah's bedside, I kept telling Leah stories from 2 different worlds. Tony finally straightened the strings of freedom, hanging it by her bedside, waiting for her to put it open with her own hands. Tells the story of young soldiers who can hit the bullseye with a single arrow, but he stubbornly insisted he was far worse than her. It tells the story of a little girl folding 100 paper airplanes. Each one says that after waking up we'll go see the lanterns together. Describe the sound of rainwater hitting the windowsill. Say the bus is packed like a goblin legion. Talking about the piece of cake my dad secretly left for me. Leah was still quietly asleep, and maybe a night. When I was talking about dumplings, her fingertips moved slightly, very light. So light it was like the wind touching a paper airplane. I suddenly grabbed her hand. He didn't even dare to breathe heavily. Window. Lights of the warrior city lit up one by one. I whispered, Leah, I will keep talking until the day you wake up.